Technical difficulties right out the gate. What's up, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Wardcast, your weekly source for video game news, machinima and survival horror discussion, updates on the Ward, and more. I'm your host, Sean Clark, alongside Jazz Rich.
Hey!
Hey! And Carmen De La Cruz.
Yo!
Yo. Hello, everybody.
Hi.
Sorry, we've been missing in action for what? A month? A collective 2 months?
It's 3 years.
It's been a minute.
84 years.
Too long.
Yes.
Too long. But yeah, things have been a little bit crazy. Alec moved to his new place and he's got internet problems, and I got super sick. I got COVID again, so that hasn't been fun. I'm still sick, so I apologize in advance if I'm like coughing and being all gross on the podcast, but what are you going to do? You know, you got to deal with it.
We never complain.
Yeah. Wow. But yeah, just a ton of things going on, but we're back. Things will get better. Got a ton of things coming up that I'm looking forward to sharing with you guys. But yeah, in the meantime, thank you for your patience. And hello. Hey, Jazz. How was your week?
My week?
Yeah. Month. How was your month?
How was your life? It was okay.
Great.
Just kidding.
Good to hear.
Oh
wow, spoiler.
I don't recall like everything I've been doing. I think since we last time we were here, I had started playing D&D with a new group, and I dragged some people along with me. And yeah, that's still going. Starting to learn the game a little bit more, so I'm getting ready to do like my own one-shot DMs and working on my own worlds so I could play more with like I'm gonna set up a group with like you guys and like other people that we know and people that have been waiting for a while to play. So that's going. And of course, not going to use it as a show and tell because we'll be here for ages, but got more dice.
So, of course you did.
Yeah, I got some for Sasha too because I was like, hey, I'm going to buy you dice if you come play with us. And she said, sure. So I bought her dice. I just have to send them out now.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. I've been watching a lot of stuff in the last few like whiles because I had to fill up my weekends.
Wow.
Things weren't happening. I'm just kidding. No, but like I literally get bored on weekends. I've been watching a lot actually during the week mostly. I've been watching like Smosh videos of like try not to laugh because they fucking kill me. They're so funny. So I watched that like in between calls because I work here, I play here. It's easy. I've been watching a little bit of Critical Role, but not that much. Just because like if it's during work, I'm not able to pay attention as much, and then I miss some stuff, and I don't want to miss a thing. I watched The Lake. I started watching The Lake, which is a show on Prime. It's like super Canadian, like going to the lake. Like so for me, who has a cottage at a lake, it's super relatable. But then like there's a whole thing going on. It's a funny show. I watched Paper Girls, which is a really cool show. If you like Stranger Things and like time travel-y kind of things, Paper Girls is a really good show. There's like these 4 girls that are paper girls. They deliver the newspapers in like the 80s, actually in 88, and then something happens and they get teleported like 20 years later or something like that. And then it's just like a whole thing. I don't want to give spoilers or anything away, but it's really good. It's also on Prime. I watched Princess Mononoke
for the first time.
No, I used to really like this one. It's got wolves, Sean. Come on.
Okay, happy.
Abby.
Abby.
I used to watch it a lot before, like when I was super into anime, and then they put it on Netflix, and I was like, hey, an excuse to watch it again. So I did that. I watched Disenchantment. I
You
watched,
no.
yeah,
You
and
would never
and
watch that. Hello,
and,
survival horror fan.
and Dragon Prince again. And this movie called 13 Lives, which is really good. And then I've been
I need to
watching
watch
Arrow.
Dragon Prince. Keep
Yeah, you
forgetting.
do.
It's on
Yeah,
my
you do.
to watch list. I do. Wow. I know.
You okay? Just 1 sec.
Hey, Carmen.
Can I
Yeah.
split my week and come back and finish it? Just go to Carmen for a sec.
No.
That's
Thank you.
fine. Carmen,
Okay.
no, how
Hello.
how have your months been?
How have my months been, Sean? My months and months and months.
It's only been 2.
Oh, probably.
It's been
Um,
5 weeks ish.
True.
Collectively.
I'm glad you're counting. It's been good. I've been catching up on some. What do I usually watch? Honestly,
Star Trek.
Shayla says, "Hi guys, hi Cameron." So, hi.
Did you call yourself Cameron?
Carmen?
I can
I
swear you
didn't.
called yourself Cameron. That's
No,
hilarious.
that's
I'm gonna have to
that's
watch
just
that
you
back.
wanting to misname me.
I don't think so. I think that was all you.
Maybe I can't read.
That's
Okay.
awesome.
Maybe I can't read.
Hello, Shayla.
I have been watching a lot of Star Trek, and I watched the entire season 2 of Picard. That was pretty good. Been watching like Strange New Worlds, which I want to get into it, but there's something about it. I don't know. I'm
Is
not
that
feeling.
the animated one or whatever? Or no? No. That never mind. I know what you're talking about. God damn it. Fucking technical issues out the ass.
I am so sorry.
I don't think
I
it's
don't.
you. I think it's on my end.
Is it? You just like to hang up on me?
Because if it was on your end, you would be gone. Like I'd have to re-add you to the call. So I'm pretty sure it's me.
Okay. So yes, Lower
Oh,
Decks
okay.
is the
Scott's
animated one. The
Okay.
new season 3 of is it season 3? But the new season of Lower Decks premiered on Thursday. And don't tell me anything about it because I haven't actually watched it yet. But that is on my list of things to watch. What else have I watched? A little bit of Only Murders in the Building. I watched.
It's a movie.
No, Only Murders in the Building is a TV show with Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. And they just started their second season.
That is a weird turn. Like the first 2 make sense, and then it's just like, whoop.
Selena Gomez.
Okay.
It's good though. It's like they these 3 strangers who kind of have nothing in common except for 2 of them are old.
Wow.
They both run into each other, I think, in the elevator or whatever, and they have chance encounters, but they all live in this hotel sort of apartments called the Arcadia. And I don't even remember anything about it, honestly, but it's really good. I just don't remember anything about it. But they're all 3 aficionados of murder podcasts, and there's some sort of mystery in their building, and so they decide to solve the mystery by becoming podcasters. No, they decide to start a podcast.
Sounds like us, except we want to cause murders doing that.
Yeah.
Oh no! Oh, don't tell everybody our secret.
Where do you think Alec really is?
Yeah.
He died.
He's fine.
Mm.
He's fine.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Don't call the police.
Yeah. Okay. But I've been watching that. I've been. What really interesting? Has anyone watched Black Phone? It's a movie.
No, I was going to go see it, but
my phone is black.
It is most people's So it was a really
What?
interesting. I was going to say most people's phones are black unless you have an Apple, and then you don't count.
And it's red.
Did you assume my phone color?
Yes.
Yes, I'm
One would say
Phone
that's
colorist.
fucking bullshit.
But black phone. It's
I heard
interesting.
of it. Yeah.
It's kind of good. It feels like it's directly kind of ripping off of them. What do you call it? The popularity of Stranger Things, because it's very much that 80s vibe. But it was so good.
That's not really a Stranger Things thing. It's just
It
like
was just it was
the
a
thing
very
to do these days.
yeah,
Stranger
but
phone things.
it had its own specific flavor. But I swear to God, it felt nostalgic. I don't remember what year it took place, if it was 1986 or 1980 or 1978 or
38.
I'll have to look it up
77.
again. But it felt so like it felt really nostalgic. But the whole thing, the whole plot is that this young boy, I don't know, like 12 years old or something, gets kidnapped. And he's in the basement of like the kidnapper, all locked up and everything. And so he's there have been a series of child disappearances in the neighborhood. And
Who did
how
they
much do I
call?
want to give away? Ghosts.
Tom Hanks.
Not
Oh,
Ghostbusters, just ghosts.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah. So he's trying to get out. I don't know how much I want to give away.
That's a
It's not
different
exactly
movie.
scary. It's yeah. No,
What?
it wasn't exactly scary, but there was one jump scare and I felt like an idiot because it's like just mostly like a drama, and then all of a sudden I just like scream in the middle of the theater like blah! Which I tend to do. I tend to do that. But I have also been doing a little D&D for the first time since like 2014.
I have a friend with me.
And it was pretty entertaining. And tell us when we do show and tells. Is it later?
When
Is it
you're done
now?
with your week.
Yeah.
I'm
months.
done with my week.
When you're
Oh,
done
yeah.
with your months.
And I still work and it's trash. I mean, it's I appreciate the job that
Thanks
I have.
for the opportunities.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It was good. I got too excited. But yeah.
By the way, I
Just
don't know what
work
this
and-
little dance thing was, but she said D&D, and we've been hanging out
That's
a
a
lot.
D&D
It's
dance.
the happy dance.
We've been learning D&D together, and we've been hanging out a lot. So it's like
Yeah.
somebody join me.
All right, Cameron. What's your show and
Wow.
tell?
Jesus.
It wasn't me.
Okay, John.
She's the one that did it.
Okay, John.
Oh,
Okay.
How
Can
dare
I
you?
can I show? Can I show? Can I show?
show.
It's nothing much.
It's
I got-
everything.
I got the book. I got the Player's Handbook, which is the very first in a series of how far do I want to go down this rabbit hole.
Far.
But as you can tell, I've been taking notes from
You know
Jazz.
what's funny
also,
is
and
I've had mine like a year more than you, and I have like 3 post-its because I go to the same pages.
I have a lot
Carmen's
more
more set up
learning to
than I
do.
am.
I have a lot more learning to do, and I could show you my dice, but they're nothing new. They're the same dice I've had since like 2019 when I thought I was going to start doing D&D, and then never did, or 2020, and then the pandemic happened. So
D&D.
It's like the best time to do D&D.
So Sean,
Yeah.
what you been doing? What you been catching? Some
How was your
little bit
show and
of,
tell?
how
Was
was
that
it?
Was that it? Was that it? Was the book?
Wow.
Oh, okay.
Was-
This is my
She
show.
was so proud
This
to have a
is-
show and tell because Carmen doesn't buy things.
I thought that was
I
part
don't
of the
buy
week.
things.
That is
Well,
true. That is true.
I did buy a lot of things on Steam, but just like every other time, can I show them to you? No. Should I pull up like
Hey,
PDFs or not
this
PDFs,
is
not
your
like
software
problem
monitor,
for
like, how
supporting
come you
the
did this?
digital
Yeah.
pandemic.
The
I bought-
files
I
are
bought
in the
Playmail.
computer.
I bought all the Skyrims the other day.
Take
I
your
haven't
hard
played any
drive
of
out
them.
and show it on camera.
All the Skyrims.
Done.
It's
Oh
a
my God.
laptop. Oh, also Jack wants to say hi. Come here.
Wow.
Come here, big boy. Come here. Oh, this is Jack. Say hi.
I like how he looked over like, I'm
What-
a cat.
What is it with cats and like YouTubers? Like anytime there's a cat that comes in, like they record it and they leave it in the video. Like, wouldn't you just stop and like readjust and
No.
deal with the cat and then start
No,
recording?
because you
like they
can't
always
just
make it like
Deal with the
an
cat.
event.
Yeah,
cat
they
will
are
just come back.
persistent. Yeah, the cat came back. The
The cat
next
is like,
day.
you're looking at something else that's not me. Let's reassess
yeah.
the situation, and
He
you look at
was-
me now.
He was meowing and meowing and meowing, and I just had to pick him up and show him to the internet because if I didn't, he just wouldn't shut up.
Best show and
Exactly.
tell.
Can you hear him?
The cat is more interesting than the YouTuber.
That is valid.
Yeah.
That is very true.
Oh, Carmen froze in a very angry way.
But see if I can fix it. Nope, I can't. I can't fix it.
I think we should all make
Carmen.
that face until she comes back.
Carmen, you're gonna probably have to disconnect and reconnect. Oh, there we go. There we go. Fucking technical
You
difficulties.
froze.
You frosted.
I was talking and I was
The
like,
cat
can you
did it.
hear him?
But yeah, it's just like I see it in the dumbest shit ever. It's like I'm doing a top 10 video and blah 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 blah. Here's my cat, like just like right in the middle, and they
do
just
agree.
keep that in there.
It's a
I agree with
special kind of
Scott.
love. It is
Very often
absolutely a
it's
special
more
kind of love.
interesting.
Yeah.
Anyway, can you hear him?
Yeah.
Okay.
But it
So-
very clearly, for better or worse, detracts from whatever you're talking about. So like leaving that in there is kind of
so
like
for better, it
invalidating
detracts.
the importance of what you're talking about. It's
Yeah,
very,
That's
it's
just
very
because you
awkward.
don't love cats. When I,
I like
see a person say like, "Oh, I'm just a, I'm a fancy pants," or "Hey, I'm
Puns
just
to
a
puns.
Joe Schmo," and they put a cat in front of 50% of the internet is cat videos.
I don't think that's
75.
true anymore.
Okay,
75.
so like
more like
50%
90.
of the internet is pornography. Like 25% is cat videos, and like 25% is actual stuff. That's not an
Just
actual
5%
statistic. That
is
is,
facts.
I don't.
That's fair.
All right, Carmen, throw it back over to Jazz.
I tried. No. What? Oh.
No?
You threw it at me.
Oh God.
My
Abuse.
ow.
Is
My,
it in your
my
eye?
owl.
My ow. It
You
hurt.
hurt my
Wow.
owl.
Is it
I'm
in your
allergic
eye?
to pain.
Okay.
I forgot where it was. Arrow? I watched Arrow. I started rewatching Arrow just because like now I like arrows. No, but I think like of the three, like I really like Flash as a character. I really like Supergirl, but I think Arrow was the show that I stuck to the most. Like I really liked it.
It's the best one.
And he's got like,
I have
like
not
me
seen
liking
any.
Rangers and like bows and shit like that. Like I like that he has a hood, and I like the character in like the old Justice League. Like he was really funny. And like it's generally pretty good. So I've been rewatching that and occasionally switching over to Flash, but then I'm like, oh, they don't know each other yet, so I'm gonna keep watching Arrow until they do, so I can kind of follow the timeline, the broken ass timeline. Yeah, and I've been watching that. I've been playing games for once. Games.
You usually play something. It's me.
I
that
usually play
doesn't.
PUBG, and I've been playing PUBG. And D&D. That's a game. So fuck you.
That doesn't. count. Get
Today
out
I
of here.
played some Horizons Forbidden West because it had been a long time since I hadn't gone back to it, and I had to like go over the tutorial in the menu and just kind of refresh like, this is how I do this, this is how I do this, cool. And then I followed the quest line, and it's like, you have to fight this giant ass motherfucker, and I'm like, I don't want to, but I had to. So you watched me suffer through that. It took me
I
like over
did.
an hour to kill this fucking machine, and it was pretty cool. He was a dick.
Such a
I
pretty
mean,
game. It's beautiful.
It's super pretty, and especially when like there's a feature where you have like these perks that you can activate, and like she puts like face paint on. I really like that.
Yeah, like
feature.
everything about it. Like while you were playing, I'm just like in awe
I know.
watching all these things happen.
Like
I'm just
30
like,
times
Jesus
in the
Christ.
stream, Sean's
There's
just
like a
like,
sunset
why is
and
it
like
so pretty? It's so pretty.
so many things were happening.
And as soon as like if you look over, you're like, sudden death, but look at this skyline.
And remember, I'm the one that appreciates the weather and the wind and the moving of clothing in video games. So like when they do that really well, like it's just really
Yeah.
impressive to see that attention to
was-
detail.
I
Like
was-
it doesn't affect anything, but like it it sets the tone and it sets the mood of the game, and it looks
Yeah.
when it's done really well, it looks so amazing.
And
I
I,
It's
used to
and I was
marvel at
immersive
that
and
stuff.
beautiful and all of that.
like when
great.
I started that, like when I first got to that place where I had to kill this machine, like it was like daytime, and then like every single time I died and came back, like I could see it getting darker and darker. Like the day is still progressing no matter what you're doing, and it's not just like once you reach this point it's nighttime. Like it's a pretty cool cycle. And I was telling you in the stream too how like there's a part where she's in the bar and the person's making her like super uncomfortable, and she's got her like drink but she's not drinking it, and she's just like doing stuff with her hands, like just shifting and like fidgeting. And I'm like, that's what people do when they're uncomfortable. They'll just like scratch their neck, or like they gave in Last of Us 1, they I had read this up, like Ellie, they gave her like this thing, she keeps like scratching her nose when she's feeling uncomfortable. And I'm like, oh yeah, look at that, she does do that. So I thought that was pretty cool. So I do
See,
like,
it's little
yeah.
shit like that makes
Yeah.
the difference, you know, like those
little shits.
little attention to detail. It's really
All
cool.
the little shits. I played through all of Infamous First Light again because I really like it. It's got good characters, it's got good cast. Laura Bailey, and Travis, like her husband. So that was pretty funny. Plus, like I've played the first Infamous game, but I like First Light better. I don't know why. It almost feels like you're playing like Infamous, but also Saints Row 4, where you can just like run around and jump and like go really far. Yeah, that was all one breath. I played Tony Hawk Pro Skater. I got the remake because it's the free-to-play game for the rest of August.
Oh, that's why you have it?
Yeah, I was gonna like. I really like playing Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2, like the OG, and I think I've shown you. It's on my shelf over there. But I have like the game on PS1 or PS1 that somebody just randomly like threw out. So I have that, and like when the remake was coming out, I was like, I don't want to spend like $80 on this game, but then it was free, so I was like, hey, and I'm starting with the first one because I've never played the first one, and it's fun. I suck. I wipe out a lot, and I've been like
hard.
saving clips of me wiping out because it's just in the dumbest way. I'm like, yeah, and I could totally land it, but then for some reason I just turn and I'm like, which is what I would do in real life. And last but not least, I played the Blair Witch Project. The
Blair Witch.
I've only played it one day so far. I was streaming. I was home alone. I wanted to play something. I wanted to stream something. Sean was sick, and he said, if you play something, I will watch you. And I was like, okay, what do I play? And he's like, something spooky. And I was like, the fuck? So I went and bought Blair Witch Project. I turned off the lights, not for very long. I had these headphones, which are noise canceling and counseling.
Noise counseling?
I had it right. And
they counsel you because you're scared.
Yeah, and I don't know if my video of that night is still on. Oh, and I was drinking a shitload because it was after D&D, so I had a whole bunch of beers, and then I had more beers. So I was having fun. At first I was like, okay, this is just another walk in the park, literally. And I remember screaming a couple of times. And I don't know if the video is still on the Twitch account, but I saved it so that I could like kind of do a little bit of edit and post it. I haven't gone back to it because I feel like we're committed. Like you talking to me in the chat through the game helps me not be as scared because it's like I have somebody to talk with. So you have to follow me through the rest of this game. See it through, bitch.
What? Wow.
Bitch. And that's pretty much what I did. Yeah, that's what I did. Most of my time was spent on D&D stuff, so I did not do all that much more, except for everything I just spent 20 minutes explaining. My show and tell, I have kind of 3, but because I couldn't pick one, and they're pretty short. So one of them I have to get up for is this brand new computer chair. Yay!
It's a squishy.
Yay.
It has a thing that moves with your back. It's really comfy for the back. I haven't had as many back problems since I've gotten it. Work was like, hey, we're going to give you up to $500 for a chair. And I'm like, okay, cool. So I got this. The other thing I also have to
buy mine.
Government.
Wow.
The other thing is I also have to
build.
get up. It's this Firefly shirt. Look for the light. Yeah. That's my Firefly shirt. It's actually a gamer thing for once. What did I say?
Firefly.
It's a Firefly shirt.
I mean, it is, but
I said Last of Us shirt. I don't know. Fuck it. It's a Last of Us T-shirt.
Fire.
I got it at Hot Topic because we went to Hot Topic. We spent like so much money and time shopping last weekend, and we got a lot of dice. And speaking of, my full actual, I just had to have like a show and tell that's related to video games to like make up for my crimes. I got this D20 dice from Critical Role for the Mighty Nine, and it has their Mighty Nine logo, which is their second campaign team. Has their characters. It says nobody fucks with the Mighty Nine, and the best thing about it, other than it being fucking Critical Role, is it has like a little spiel on the back of like what it is, and it says like, it will have you mingling and metagaming like there's 9 tomorrow, because it's the Mighty like 9. Yeah. So yeah. I really like watching them, but I think like this is the most entertaining campaign because they're just always doing funny shit. So yeah, I have that.
You and your damn dice.
Hey, shut up. I would show you all my dice, but I can't physically hold them all in both hands.
Right.
So
you're gonna need like a fucking oil drum of just dice.
No, I have my Laura
We've
Bailey's
seen that.
bag of hoarding. And it's not even halfway
Yeah,
full
for
yet.
now, but you buy like 4,000 dice a
I
week.
spent like $200 last weekend, and the bag's not even halfway full. Like I'm gonna
It'll
be
be
at
a
this for
bag
a
of
while.
smacking. I
It
promise.
will be. That shit is heavy. I can't even weigh it, but it's heavy. That's my week, Sean.
Hello.
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 Okay, that's all you got.
What? That was my week. My month.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so like while I was in the middle of doing something on my phone just like kicked me out of my app and was like, you have to update now. Like I couldn't back out of it or do anything. It's just like you're updating now or you're not using your phone. Like what the fuck is that? Like normally it'll pop up and be like, oh, there's an update available, and then you can like decline or go back, or like you can back out of it and do it later.
If you
But
decline
this
after
time,
like 3 times.
maybe that's what it is, but like what the fuck? Why is my phone like controlling my life? Like let me do
That's
what
what
I
phones
want with my
do in
goddamn phone. It's
2022.
technology is
That happened to
bullshit.
me 2
You know what?
days
It's
ago or yesterday.
fucking
It is
bullshit.
fucking bullshit. Like you buy like phones aren't cheap. Like don't tell me what to do with my phone. Like I bought you. I gave you money to please me. All right? Like don't you do that. No.
Phone is
I
your
just that
whore.
shit fucking irritates me. Like technology like is getting to the point where it's just like it's calling the shots, and I don't like that shit. Like let me fucking same thing with the computer. You know, it'll like if you leave it idle long enough, even if it's in like sleep mode, it'll just update. Like
Not mine.
fuck whatever you're doing. Like
I mean, you can turn that off.
no,
But
well
You've
yeah,
tried.
you can delay it. But like if you don't keep going in and delaying it, I think it gives you like 7 days or something like that.
7.
Keep going in there and continuing to click that box to delay the update, it will just automatically update. And like that's not at the top of my mind. I have other shit going on. Like I'm not always thinking, oh, I better jump on my computer and fucking delay the update. Like that's not a realistic expectation. So like if like I don't think about it, and then I come to my computer and I had like 2 projects open and like 10 web pages I was in the middle of doing shit on, and then when I come to my computer, nothing. Like why does it fucking need to do that? Like just if I want to update, I'll fucking update. Like I can click a button that says update. Like leave me the fuck alone. It's so annoying. It's irritating me.
I'll say it's mandatory security measures or something.
But like
They're patching a
I'm
vulnerability.
the one that should make that call. Like not
Maybe
fucking
I want my shit to be
Samsung or
vulnerable.
Microsoft. Like yeah, if
Right.
I want to like put my shit out there publicly and put my address and my bank information for all to see, like that's my fucking decision to make. I should be able to do it.
Bill
Like
Gates
don't
of hell.
like yeah, just like fucking leave me alone.
See,
And then like a
like-
while go ahead.
I was gonna say I learned the trick to that is don't upgrade your computer, leave it on for 3 weeks straight, and only have Windows 7 that does not update because it no longer has update existing.
It's better
Problem
to
solved.
live in the past.
I live in the dark ages.
I want to go back to XP. And a while back, I don't know if I talked about this. I might have talked about this before, but a while back, like I hadn't turned on my Xbox One in a long ass time. and I turned it on, and I couldn't use it. Like, it literally just said update your system. Couldn't back out, couldn't play any discs. I couldn't use my Xbox at all until I updated. Like, what the fuck is that?
It's like, nah,
Again,
bruh.
like,
At
so
that
you're
point, why
telling
did they
me,
even give you the option to say no? Or the
right?
option to say yes? They just should say, hey, we did a thing, which might arguably be worse, but seems like they should just say, hey, we updated your system on the 23rd at 2 a.m. Just say, okay, like you did what you had to do. I didn't
But
have a choice
they
in it.
shouldn't
So
be able to control that, and it should be irrelevant. Like, so literally, if I decide, okay, well, you know what, I'm just not going to play my Xbox anymore, which is a realistic thing because like I've kind of moved on to PlayStation. I used to be like more Xbox than Sony, and I kind of migrated over. So like I hardly ever use my Xbox. So it's a realistic thing that I would just kind of box it up and add it to my collection for a while, and then maybe a couple years down the road, I'll open it up and throw a game in there. Like that's a realistic thing that I should be able to do with a physical console and a physical disc. But because they implemented that system, if I were to do that and I don't keep an eye on it, and like 2-3 years down the road when they're not
you
supporting
have
that system
30
anymore, and
updates.
I turn it on and it gives me that same prompt, oh, you can't use this system until you update, and I can't fucking update it. They literally just bricked my system. Like
They do
I
that.
can't play any of my digital games. I can't use any of my physical collection. They remotely killed my system.
And that's absolutely planned obsolescence. That's
Yeah, I know.
absolutely in their
This is
model.
what I'm talking about though. Like these are the things, the path that we're going with digital that like we're not even looking at. Like shit like
Yeah.
that's fucked up. Nobody talks about that. Nobody knows that that's a thing.
We
And the people
constantly
that
talk about it.
experience it, not what? This
Xbox.
console thing? No.
Don't we?
Not this specific thing. Like I'm just
Okay.
saying there's so many like really glaring issues that no one talks about like this. Like I've never heard anybody talk about the fact that if you don't frequently update your Xbox system, you can't use it anymore in the future. That's a pretty big fucking problem. Like that's something that people should be aware of and that Microsoft should probably let people know about because like again, you're not thinking about that. And even if most people probably don't even that have seen it probably don't even realize what's happening because they're just like, "Oh, okay, well it's an update. I'm connected to the internet. Let's update. We move on and we're done." But
Right.
like if you don't stop and think about like what the fuck does that mean down the road? Like
Well,
what
that's
if I couldn't connect?
didn't Apple have a lawsuit regarding something like that?
I don't know, probably. But none of this shit happens like in the public eye. Like nobody's thinking
But
about these things.
I think
Like
it's
in the
something.
news, we're going to talk about a couple of other issues that are happening because of digital, but like this is a really, really big one that is like hidden deep in the background that no one's talking about. Like if I hadn't updated my system, like I don't know when the next time would be that I turned it on because like I just happened to, I was like cleaning up and stuff like that and organizing my other room and my PlayStation's not in there and I didn't have a DVD player connected. So I'm like, oh, I guess I'll just use my Xbox. And just because I happened to fucking do that, I learned that if I didn't update, my system wouldn't work anymore. Like I literally, there's a good chance that I wouldn't have played it for a long time. Like there's no reason for me to jump on my Xbox for a long time. So I probably
Right.
wouldn't have discovered that otherwise. So that means, down the road, I'm unaware of this. A couple years down the road, I turn it on and I want to play an Xbox game. And I just realized that all the games that I bought, the $600 system that I paid for when it came out, all of that through an update from the fucking from Microsoft,
Rendered
they
it
just took all that.
useless.
They literally
Mhm.
took probably thousands of dollars away from me and didn't even tell me about it. And that's physical too, like not even just digital. Like I can't use my system, period.
Yeah.
That's fucked. And like that destroys the pre-owned market too. Like
If
I'd be
it's
really careful about buying a pre-owned Xbox One like down the road because will they even work? Probably not. That's fucked up.
I mean, I've been realizing that since around 2014, 2015, when my very first tablet that I'd ever had, the Nexus 7, was updated into obsolescence, where, it just took so many update after update after update that that combined with the fact that, you know, apps are changing, apps are getting to require more intense, you know, heavier requirements, more intense, not just more intense graphics, but like more intense sizes on their packages and everything. I had a perfectly good, like I didn't have any problems with my original, very first beautiful tablet. Ran smooth as butter. When I first got it in about 2013, but from the updates alone, I noticed that it eventually could not run. And it wasn't that it, I don't know. I've seen that happen with that. I've seen it happen with phones. And yeah, now we're on to consoles, but it, I think it's always been there, but people deal with it. And people say like, oh, you know, my phone's slowing down. It must just be getting old. It's time to upgrade. But it's not really that the phone is just getting old, because you can wipe that bitch. You can factory reset it. You can, you know, clear out everything, and it updates back to like after you've wiped it and everything, and it has to re-update to reload and get up to the current version of software, firmware, or whatever. And then it runs just as shitty. But it's not your device. It's not like you've, you know, like filled it full of sand, or, you know, like played ping pong with it. It's not the device itself, and it's certainly not the apps that you like.
It's the corporations.
It's the corporations.
It's the corporations. But no, it's kind of a different, it's similar, but it's also a little bit different, because with a phone or a computer or tablet or something like that, those are
sandwich,
in effect, disposable platforms, which is why consoles have always been a big deal, because they're separated from that structure where they're off the grid. You know what I mean? Like they're time capsules of that period of time of gaming. So like I've got my console, I have my physical games, I can play them, and there's nothing interfering with it. There's no updates and patches and connecting to the internet to verify things. There's no reason for things to slow down, and you know, none of that really exists. But cell phones are meant to, like, you're going to get a new cell phone more than likely. Most people are going to burn through a bunch of cell phones, like the mass public, you know, which is the market. They're going to buy cell phone after cell phone after cell phone. They're going to want the new technology. They're not meant to last. They're meant to, you know, like a lot of things in today's day and age, you know, it's disposable.
Money grabbing.
Yeah, it's like they're built.
I mean, yeah,
to be
but
thrown away for the nice shiny thing. And
I hate that you call it
computers are the same
disposable.
way, but it's true. That's how they're built, and that's how everything is becoming. That's how everything is being built, is as disposable, and that's not good.
This
But like,
son of a bee was $1,100. That's all I'm
right?
saying.
It doesn't matter. Well, you'll get like a $3,000-$4,000 PC, and you'll run into the same thing. You know, that it's just like, but you understand that when you make that purchase, you know that more or less. But again, you have the opposite expectation when it comes to a console. You like there's no point of gaming on a console unless you're just going to be treating it like a different beast. Like you're getting it because it's not a PC. You're not downloading things. You're not having to connect to the internet and verify things. That is actually, other than that, there's literally no reason of not playing on a PC. It does everything else better. Like, why would you not game on a PC? You can even use whatever controller you want. You like the Xbox controller, you like the PlayStation controller, you can use them both on your computer. Runs better, looks better, there's mods. There's no reason to not game on a PC unless you want what a console has to offer. But that's not the case anymore. Everything's fucking broken, and it's stupid. It's disposable.
I have to agree with you. In the sense that I know you've brought up this argument before, that, and I agree with you on this point, that if you buy physical media, now I'm not into physical media. I'm trying to figure out how to get rid of the shit I have. But if you buy physical media, you want it to be physical. You want to basically be kind of off the grid or whatever. So why in the blue fucking biscuits do you buy a disc?
Biscuits.
Why would you buy a disc, put it in, and it still has to download content? It still has to like
Exactly.
it still has to, write everything to the hard drive. Fucking why?
Well, more so
Like
than that,
or
why do I have
blame
a physical disc that I have to put in and update fucking immediately on day one that the game came out? Like, what is the point? Why did I buy a disc if I'm downloading anyway? And like on Switch, why are you saying, okay, well, this Switch cartridge is Resident Evil 0 and 1, but only 0's on the cartridge and I have to download the other one? Why
Yeah,
are
I mean
you
it should be
why are you selling that as a physical game? It's not real. It's bullshit. It's a
yeah,
lie.
it's pseudo physical. It should be either or, right? It should
Yeah.
not be a combined weird bolfy thing. Like if I buy a disc, I expect all that fucking information to be on the disc.
That's how it should
And
be. Otherwise,
and
it's pointless.
yeah, unless
Right.
I'm doing downloadable content, which that is in the name,
Yeah.
I'm downloading some you
I want to
get it.
get the fuck away from this, but
Sorry.
there's a you're good. But there's a couple
How's
things I
your
want to
week?
hit on the chat. But Scott said no reason to own an Xbox with Game Pass anyway. And yeah, 100%. And that's part of the concern is like Microsoft is turning in to a service as a company. Xbox brand is becoming
Software as a
like
service.
Netflix. That's where they want the company to go. They don't want you to own a console anymore. So you can't tell me that they didn't do that by design. You're telling me, okay, well, Xbox wants to be a monthly service now, and all of a sudden my fucking physical Xbox doesn't work anymore if I don't connect to the internet?
It's not a flaw, it's a
It's
feature.
by design.
It's not a flaw,
Because
it's a
guess
feature.
what?
It's
When you
what they do.
when you can no longer access your Xbox One console, you have to get their service. Doesn't matter that you own all the games that you want to play. You can't play them anymore. So now you have to pay monthly for a service. That's fucked up. And that's what they want to happen. And they're going to abuse that unless people are like, hey, this is fucking bullshit. We're not going to tolerate this because that means they're not going to make their money. But
What
again,
is that?
no
Oh,
one is
that's
talking
fucking
about this shit.
bullshit.
I didn't even know about this. I didn't even know this is a thing. So I guarantee most people don't know this is a thing. But
I
like
think
that is fucking horseshit, and that's how the industry is treating things. They're behind the scenes. They're secretly pushing you towards a digital future where they can control it, and they can redistribute their games to you over and over again, or they're just going to make you pay for a service that again you're going to pay month over month or year over year. They're constantly getting that income. They don't want you to have a copy of that to play whenever you want and to control.
right.
And they're secretly taking that away from everybody, and that's really fucked up shit. But anyways, again, I want to go through this real quick and get the fuck out of this. I really didn't want to rant about digital anyway. And then Survival Horror Fan says that's messed up. I don't see how they can get away with that. That's literally robbing people again, like I was just talking about. Yeah, that's exactly what they're doing, and they're not telling anybody about it. They're looking for ways. Like, I mean, it's been
To
that way for a
milk.
long time. It's just been harder to do. It's like,
Right.
oh, it's like the game of the year bullshit. We're gonna re-release this game as many times as we can, as long as you're willing to buy it again, right? However they can implement that, they're going to. So if they can take away or restrict or access to what they've sold you before, so that you can pay again to access that content, why not? That's what they're there for. They're there to continue to make money, and the less they have to spend in, production and advertising, the better, right? They can just take away your shit, not say anything about it, and then make you pay for their monthly service. That's what they're going to do, and that's what they're doing, but it's happening behind the scenes, and it's not good. And there's all kinds of shit like that going on. This isn't an isolated incident. A lot of this shit is happening all over the place, and it's going to get worse going forward. Like I've been ranting about forever, but it's like we're starting to see like the fruit of that happen more. Like these problems are blooming more and more, and it's going to get worse, and it's going to become public knowledge, but it's going to be too late at that point. Like it's probably already too late right now, but it's concerning.
Yeah, I understand.
What else?
For anybody who hasn't been around watching the Wardcast, Wardcast,
The Wadcast.
The
the
Wadcast.
Wardcast, the
Wadcast.
Wardcast. Sean is against
Wad,
digital,
see?
so I
Yeah,
thought
I
I'd just
know.
update you guys.
I know you couldn't tell. I
Yeah.
hide it all. I'll tell you if there's any audio issues or anything, let me know, and I'll see if I
It's
can fix
better
that.
now. Like you were sounding it a little bit like on the muffled side, but it
Okay.
like went away right now. The
Am I too
Wardcast.
loud? Am I too loud or anything?
No.
No.
Okay. But yeah, if there,
I'll-
let me know if there's any audio problems. There's been a lot of technical difficulties, so I wouldn't be surprised.
It's all
That
digital.
intro was intense. I'll tell you that.
Was it loud?
It blew me out of my chair.
Yeah.
I mean, you couldn't see, but I was
That's-
like, "Wow!"
It's to grasp your attention. Now you're
Oh,
like,
that's-
whoa, I'm watching this.
And Scott mentioned, the game wasn't finished, so they released a day one patch in terms of, when you buy a game day one and you pop it in and it installs. Yeah, like again, we're building that mindset for developers to
Expectation
do
or
that. Yes,
the
we're
okayness
we're
of it.
enabling that because
Yes.
we're not speaking about it, and we continue to buy it and enable it. Period. So like again, if they can release their game earlier and patch it later and no one says anything, then that's okay. And they're going to continue to do that. And they have been. And now that's just normal. We let that happen. Just like we're letting all this other shit happen. But yeah, that's why that's not okay. Okay, yeah. So let's get the fuck away from this. I finally finished, like I was talking about earlier. The whole reason why I used my Xbox was because I was like moving things around and just kind of reorganizing my place. And I've been kind of doing it in chunks because it's a huge project to move all my shit. But I finally finished that. So I'm really happy with how that looks and how everything is. Everything's organized and great. I've got like this Resident Evil wall of posters and stuff. Like it's really cool. I'll have to like put up pictures or something at some point. But that was a very time consuming project. But I did that. Auditions for 3 projects will be going out probably either tonight or tomorrow. So we'll be moving forward on a couple of machinima projects. What?
4 projects.
4? Is it 4?
It is now.
Oh shit!
I'm
4.
looking for people to play D&D. No, I'm kidding.
Wow! 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 My
I'm in.
phone's being ass. But yeah, so that's good. Ward stuff is coming up. My
Ward.
week, I saw.
How was your week,
I'm gonna
Sean?
blow through this as quick as I can. I saw The Samaritan, which is Sylvester Stallone's new Amazon movie, Amazon Prime movie. It's not an Amazon movie,
Is he an
but
Amazon?
it's kind of like a superhero-ish movie. It was all right. It was kind of silly at times, but I felt like it was entertaining. Like it's worth watching for free, but it's a little dumb. It seemed like it tried to take itself like
Just
super
like
seriously,
me.
but it was like really corny as well, and it didn't work. I don't think they accomplished what they were going for. I've been semi-watching Gilligan's Island. I got
Oh my God.
the DVD box set of that a long time ago. I used to watch reruns of that when I was a little baby, little tiny child. So
Little
just
baby man, Sean.
kind of a comforting thing, to throw on the background while I go to sleep and stuff. Fond memories. I finished the last season of Lock and Key. That's a really good show. I don't know if you guys have seen that.
It's on
First
my list.
season. Or
But they just put out the last season. Unfortunately, it's over. But I like how they ended it. It's a really good show. I highly recommend checking that out if you guys have the Netflix.
The not
I played a couple of things. I've been playing Sword and Fairy, which is a new action RPG that came out. I randomly came across a trailer of it, I think on IGN when I was looking for news, and it just one of those really pretty looking. It looked like it was kind of an open world RPG kind of a thing, but it's more of an action RPG, and the graphics don't look nearly as good as the trailer. So I'm assuming they were showing the PS5 version of it, unfortunately, because on the PS4 it doesn't look that great. And it's a lot more linear so far than it looked like it was going to be. So I'm a little disappointed with it. The big thing though is that the audio keeps desyncing and it just ruins
Nice.
everything. Like,
Ah.
yeah, it's like there's sword noises and shit like that happen like 40 seconds after I saw it happen on the screen, and it just
Oh.
ruins all the immersion of it. And I'm hoping they patch it.
Maybe you should
fix it.
update it.
That already had a day one update and it didn't fix that.
Great.
So yeah, that's cool. But yeah, I'm hoping they fix that, and I'm hoping that the game gets a little bit better. I haven't played a whole lot of it, but we'll see. It's this one. It's this one right here. Like you
Bring
can
it
see,
closer.
like the
little
artwork's
bit.
really cool,
Ooh, sword and fatty.
and then you get micro screenshots that you can't even see. Yeah, I'm hoping that gets good. I got the Castlevania collection from Limited Run that showed up. Been playing that. It's a reminder as to how terrible at video games I am because old school games are very difficult, and I can't even beat the first game. Like I'm just very infuriating, and I hate myself. But yeah, one day hopefully I'll get through all those games. That game does not have a platinum trophy, and I don't appreciate that because it's really hard to get all those trophies, and there's no reward for it. God damn it. Yeah. Anything else? I feel like I played and watched a bunch of other shit, but I don't want to rehash things. So I'll probably just leave it at that. Show and tell. I got a couple of things as well. I've been saving up my stupid gift cards that I've been getting through my apps and shit like that, and it paid off again because it allowed me to get this piece of shit.
What is it? Oh my god, it's a bus
I hate it. I hate that I have it, but I only had to pay $200 for it because I used a bunch of gift cards for it. But just like I got a notification on my Amazon that they were available for sale and they sell out immediately. So I figured, if I could get it for $200, I might as well take advantage of it and do it. Because I do want one just to be able to play Resident Evil 4 remake, even though I'm gonna fucking hate it. But that's another story for some time in the future. But yeah, like it was a weird feeling buying that because like normally, oh, you get a new console and it's exciting and but I felt gross.
But
Like I literally,
Horizon,
Like you sold out.
yeah, and it's digital, of course. The fucking Horizon in there is digital.
really?
But anyway, yeah, like I literally felt gross. Like I opened the Amazon box and instead of this like wonder and excitement, I'm just like, why
Yeah.
did I have to buy this fucking thing?
I'm gonna feel that same pain soon because I have to either buy a PS5, a Switch, or an Xbox Series X to play the sequel in October of Plague Tale.
Oh
And
yeah.
so far, it seems like the Xbox is the cheapest one. Yeah,
Yeah.
sad.
You should get PS5 if you can, just because like that's what I'm going to be playing on, and we can play
They
together.
are
Wow,
$800 here. No, thank you. Do not want.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to talk about that later, but they are becoming more readily available. So if you can get it not from a fucking scalper or third party, you should be able to get it a lot cheaper.
Or what
But
if
Halo.
But Halo
if-
sucks now.
But like old Halos, like the Master Chief Collection is what I want to get, and I figured Xbox.
Scott
To be
said that
continued.
they're turning a number of RE4 enemies into Nemesis type stalker enemies. He heard last time they're turning El Gigante into a stalker type enemy. Yeah, that's another fucking rant I have to have at some point. I need to talk about Resident Evil. I'm behind on my Resident Evil conversation. I need
Rants.
to bitch about the show and Resident Evil 4 remake and a bunch of other shit. But yeah, I know. It's stupid. It's lazy. Like Capcom is just, they're rehashing shit. Like why turn Mr. X in Resident Evil 2 remake into a stalker enemy and then take away Nemesis as a stalker enemy? Like he's still kind of a stalker enemy in 3 remake, but they limited him. And then that's 2 games in a row that had a stalker enemy. And now Resident Evil 4 remake is also going to have a fucking stalker enemy. Like why? Village had a fucking stalker enemy too. Like every goddamn game they put out, like it's getting really irritating. Like the more you do that, the more you're taking away from the other titles that did that as well, because like it's just getting annoying. We don't need that in every fucking Resident Evil game. Like Resident Evil used to be like they would be leading the charge, they would be creating the cool, unique shit that everybody else would want to copy and duplicate. And now they're just like copying somebody else or copying the trends or making it action because that's what sells, or they're copying themselves and doing the same shit over and over again. Like it's disappointing. Come on, Capcom, you're better than this. I've seen it.
Crapcom be like.
Mm.
You know what Capcom is? Capcom is that like homemade mom and pop restaurant that goes to Costco to buy a big ass pack of Kirkland burgers and then makes them and then is like, we made these burgers.
But did you really?
But like Kirkland is also them. It's just like them 20 years ago. Or Costco.
And
sorry.
I got a couple things real quick for my show and tell.
Chantel.
Show it.
Chantel, I got these pieces of shit. I was talking about how these are garbage before, but I wanted them for the collection.
Nintendo Switch.
But again, both of these they're not even complete games. They're half games. They're both
Revelation's not
collections,
a
but they
piece of
literally have one of the two games on both of the discs. But the reason I bought them was because they were like $20 each, or no, they were 15 at a local game shop, and I explained the situation to the guy behind the counter, like they're literally half a game, and I want to buy them and just put them on my Resident Evil shelf. Like, if I buy both of them, like, will you give me a deal? And he knocked $5 off of both of them, so I got them both for $10. So like, I'm never gonna get a better deal than that probably. So that was the perfect time for me to buy them and put them in my collection. So I can live with that. $10 isn't bad. And then I got Resident Evil 3, the real Resident Evil 3 on the Japanese GameCube. It's got the little tiny baby discs, which is really cool. I love these little discs. And it's actually new, which is really fucking cool. Like, these are super duper rare. And it's funny because like this games shop, I've been going there for a long time, and I've been looking at this thing for literally a decade. They've had this and a couple other copies of Japanese Resident Evils. They've had them sitting in a shelf or sitting behind a counter actually where nobody can see them for literally like 10 years, and they don't go down in price and they don't go up in price. And I was hoping that eventually they would get cheaper, and they never do, so I figured, fuck it, I'll just buy it. Like, these things are going, like, I looked on eBay, and like a sealed copy of that's going for like $1,400. So like, I needed to get it before it got like stupid expensive. I paid like I think it was like $80. Again, I used some of my mobile game app cards to pay for it, so like I could stomach it. So it only cost me like $20. And since I was buying a bunch of Resident Evil stuff, he also gave me this little Japanese demo of Resident Evil 4, which I don't have. I have the US demo, but I don't have the Japanese one. So it's like something new for my collection as well, which is really. I never even seen this. I didn't even know that was a thing that existed. Yeah, I got a bunch of stuff for my Resident Evil collection, which was really cool. Yeah, there you go.
There you go.
People murdering each other in the chat.
Yeah, probably.
God damn it, Michael. No, the remake is not better than the old one. You are wrong, you troll. And yeah, there you go. That was my week. That was longer than I expected, but most of it was a digital rant, and that's just how things go at the Wardcast. Ta-da! Hold on a second. Technical difficulties. That's not what I wanted.
Sorry, guys. My cats just decided to knock stuff over, so that was fun.
That's fun. That's always a good time.
Cats are
Hey,
dicks.
guess what time it is?
5.
Time for the news.
Every time.
Time for some nooses.
Some news.
There's a whole lot of news to go over, for better or for worse. Gamescom is going on, and it's like a 3 or 4 day event. I didn't even realize that. I thought it was just one thing, but it's not. So I think it's still going on. Took me a long time to go through the news, and I had to cut it off at some point because like not only is news coming out like as I'm going through the news, but there's just too much. There's too much to talk about. So I grabbed a bunch of stuff that I thought was interesting, and yeah, there you go.
There you go.
There you go.
There you go.
Uh,
Dig.
Before we get into that, though, I have an update on Lollipop Chainsaw. I think it was like the beginning of July. We had talked about Lollipop Chainsaw coming back, and I remember talking about it, but it felt kind of like we were under the impression that it was just a remaster. I only kind of vaguely remember the conversation, but while I was going through the news, I saw an article that confirmed that it was actually a full blown remake rather than a remaster. And they're going to be rebuilding it from the ground up with modern graphics, which is really cool. Um, but yeah, if I'm retreading over this, I apologize. I don't think I talked about this because I'm pretty sure we were talking about it like it was a remake. But yeah, like I was kind of moderately excited about the fact that they're bringing it back as a remaster just to be able to play it on modern systems with a little bit of polish and whatever else they decided to do with it. But I was kind of like, oh well, that's great, but it should be a remake. That'd be great, and it is. So that's really good news, and it's coming out sometime in 2023. Um, it's a little concerning though. I have two major concerns. Like how are they going to treat it? Remakes can be great, Resident Evil 1 remake, or it could be Resident Evil 3. Like how are they going to treat it? Are they going to reimagine it? Or are they going to try to modernize it too much or change a bunch of things like that? I hope they don't do that. I hope they stay true to what it was because it was great. I don't think they needed to change anything. They could probably tweak the gameplay a little bit just to make it a little bit more fluid, but in terms of like the story and the gameplay and like how things play out, I really hope they don't play with that too much. Or cut a bunch of fucking content, which is like the trendy thing to do these days when you're doing a remake, apparently. But yeah, that's one concern. And then the other thing is I came across an article from I think it was the president of Dragama Games, who is going to be doing the remake, Yoshimi Yasude. But he tweeted that they will not be able to include 16 of the licensed songs, and they'll have to instead include basically an entirely new soundtrack in the process due to licensing issues. So that's not great because if you've played Lollipop Chainsaw, like the soundtrack was really important to that game and like just the vibe of it and everything. Like they had these whole set pieces that kind of revolved around like this licensed song that's playing, and you're just kind of like doing this fun thing to this track, and that's going to be gone because they're going to have to either replace it with something completely different, or they're just going to have like stock whatever instrumental music. But
But
yeah. But we'll
But
have to see. But I don't know. We'll see. I hope it works out okay. But I don't know. I have little faith in remakes at this point. I don't know what the fucking problem is. Like they can't just leave things alone and just like understand like they've got a solid property. Like there's a reason they're remaking this thing. Like don't fuck it up. Like you don't need to change everything. People liked it because of those things that are in it. Like lean into that. Like embrace all those things and like add layers onto it. Like that's why everybody loves the original Resident Evil remake, is because they understood what they were doing. They're like, okay, source material is great. Let's dial that up. Let's make it look better, and we'll add to it. We're not going to take away from anything. We're just going to build on top of what we already have because the foundation is really great, and that's how you do a remake. Like you respect the source material, but nobody does that anymore. It's like, I think they just have that mentality, like, oh well, people have played it, so we got to make it different. But that's not the case. There's a whole new generation that's going to be playing it, and the people that liked it originally are still going to like it. They're going to expect what they experienced previously, and if you don't have that, you're going to disappoint that audience, and the modern audience is never even going to know about it. So why? Who wins? Nobody. It's dumb. Okay, hold on a second. Let me get my images. I'm rusty at podcasting. It's been a while.
I don't know how.
I don't know. There we go.
Drama.
Drama. Look out, everybody. Nintendo
Digital
Switch
rights
is
media.
getting sounds like forced DRM soon. A company called Denuvo, who provide digital rights management protection on PC games, will soon be implementing this technology into Switch games to prevent software emulation on the system. If you remember, this is something that Microsoft tried to pull with the Xbox One when they first announced it, and people lost their shit, and for good reason. What this DRM is going to do is basically periodically it's going to run a scan of the software to verify that you own it. So if it can't verify this for any reason, you'll be locked out of playing your game. So for multiple reasons, like this is concerning. Like
Gifts?
what if there's a bug, right, that just won't let me verify, which is a realistic possible thing that can happen. There's this shit's buggy. That's why they keep patching shit. So like there could be just for whatever reason a glitch or some reason it just can't verify that you own the game, and it's just going to lock you out of accessing it. And maybe that can come and go based on when it can verify and when it can't, but that's a problem. And like what if you can't connect to the internet for a period of time? Like I have connection problems in my basement, so that's something that could happen. Or if you go to a place that doesn't have internet for whatever reason, can't play your portable system, that's not great. And like what happens when the system isn't supported at all? Then it's just fucked, because it can't verify anymore. So just like my Xbox, it's just going to turn into a brick because it can no longer verify the licenses anymore. So physical media or not, depending on how they're implementing this, it's just going to kill that system, which again is probably what the companies want because they want to bring you into their infrastructure. They want you to pay for a service. Nintendo has a service too. Everybody has one at this point. And Nintendo's really bad about re-releasing things over and over again too. So like again, either it's going to push you into paying for a monthly service or it's going to get you to have to rebuy the game again. Like it's very appealing for the publisher to put you in that position, but like that's pretty fucked up. And if they implement this, like you don't have a choice. You're literally paying for a cell phone basically, like we were talking about before. It's a temporary experience. And for like a casual, that's okay, I guess, because like, Carmen, you mentioned you spent like $1,100 on your phone or something, right?
Yeah.
Like my phone's expensive too. So I guess if you look at it that way, it's like, okay, it's $300 to get a Switch and you're playing console games on the go. And for a lot of people, that'll be enough. Maybe they'll buy 10, 15 games or something like that, or they'll buy like a bunch of indie shit that's disposable as well. So like it won't impact people like that. But if you're a collector like I am, and you want to own the games and you want to build a large collection, which floods in a lot of money for these companies, by the way. But if you're one of those people, there's no appeal because you're in a time frame. Your system's only going to last for as long as whatever the shelf life is until they move on and they lock you out of that system. That's not appealing. And most people don't even look at it that way. That's not good. But yeah, the article that I read was kind of confusing. It didn't seem like this was set in stone, and what they were talking about was like Nintendo wasn't necessarily authorizing this. Like this was a request from specific publishers to implement this software. So I don't know if this is a conversation at this point or if it's coming down the road. I don't know. It seemed like it was pretty matter of fact though. So like if you're going to buy a Switch or if you own a Switch, like keep this in mind and I would follow this story because literally like you're feeding money into a temporary thing that's going, like in this case, like the Xbox thing is they could fix that potentially if enough people complain or whatever through an update before they discontinue service. They could fix that problem. They probably won't, but they could. But on this, if they put this into their system going forward, it's happening. It's a real thing. Like you will lose access to your entire library at the end of the life, like period. So keep that in mind when you're buying, 30, 40, couple hundred games. They're just going to eventually just be boxes on your shelf or whatever digital games you're buying. You're only going to have access to them for a period of time unless something changes down the road. So be aware.
Be prepared.
Prepare yourself for shittiness because we have more of it. More shittiness. Ubisoft is shutting down a bunch of Assassin's Creed servers and it's causing several problems. Ubisoft announced that online support and servers will no longer be provided for Assassin's Creed 2, 3, Brotherhood, and Revelations on PS3, Xbox 360, and PC come September. However, many of these game servers were already shut down weeks or months earlier than that, by the way. Plus, Ubisoft also shut down a ton of other game servers, such as a few Prince of Persia games, Far Cry 3, and a couple others without any notice whatsoever. They didn't say anything to the public. They just shut them down quietly. So what does that mean? So the obvious ones, any trophies or achievements will no longer be attainable. Multiplayer's gone. Uplay rewards, such as unlocking bonus items, costumes, things like that, will no longer be attainable. Paid and non-paid content, DLC content, is being locked on PC completely. So every bit of DLC that you paid for any of those games is being taken away from you in September, if it hasn't already. Single player and multiplayer DLC is affected by this. So if you bought like the story expansion packs for any of those Assassin's Creed games, they're pulling it away from you. Like, you can still play the single player portion of the game, but no multiplayer, no single player DLC, no multiplayer DLC, no costumes that you paid to own, none of that. They're completely blocking that off from people that bought it. It's unconfirmed if this is going to be affecting consoles at this point or if it will in the future. This is for PC specifically in terms of blocking the DLC, but everything else is across the board, all the platforms. And I feel like they'll probably allow you to access the content on console for longer, but I feel like eventually, like once the entire network goes down for, say, Xbox 360 and PS3 is being shut down soon, by the way, but once that happens, they'll probably cut off access to it completely, just like they're doing with PC. Again, digital, not good. Lots of reasons why it's not good. Why?
But that's just for those Assassin's Creed on older gens, right? Like not just Uplay, like in general.
No, it's for those specific games on those specific platforms.
Okay, it's like I have Uplay stuff on PS4. I don't want to lose that shit.
Yeah, and again though, you won't now. But down the road, again, it's going to be a cycle until everything turns into a service. But like,
it doesn't seem like it should be legal.
Yeah, again, like people aren't looking at this at face value. Like anything DLC, whether it's a game or a costume or an expansion, you're paying for a license. You're telling them it's okay to take it away from you for any reason, whether it's a license expiring or they want to pull it and resell it to you, or the network goes down and they don't want to support the network anymore. Whatever reason, you agreed to allow them to do that. So, and now we're starting to see it become a problem. Like they shut down the Wii network too. And a lot of people just now or a couple years back are like, oh, fuck, that's not great. Like a lot of people invested a lot of money in those digital only games on Wii, and that Wii network is gone. And that's a little bit different because you do have access to whatever's on your hard drive. But if that hardware or that hard drive dies or something happens, you sell your system or whatever, and then you buy a new one down the road, everything you bought on there's gone. You never owned it.
Wii was garbage anyways.
I liked the Wii, but yeah, it was pretty garbage.
Yeah.
PlayStation 5s are increasing in price.
Speaking of garbage.
So,
she doesn't like that.
She's not a fan. I agree. I would leave too if I could. I'd walk the fuck out.
Fuck this.
I do not know what's happening. I'm so sorry.
I believe this is history. I've never seen this be a thing. I've never seen a console like in its lifespan from the manufacturer increase a console price. I've never seen this happen ever. Like, of course, there's secondhand market, things, supply and demand, prices of older systems will go up. But on a in-generation console, from the manufacturer to increase the price of a console, that is fucking insane. That has never fucking happened, if I'm not mistaken.
But
So,
not surprising.
so that's cool. Good job, Sony. According to Sony, the PS5 is going to increase in price in select markets
Oh,
due to the global
short.
due to the global economic environment and inflation rates. What were you saying, Carmen?
I was just saying shortage. That's all. I'm shutting up.
There's
It's
been
ridiculous. It's
there's been a
bullshit.
shortage. Like, it's just gonna get worse.
Yeah.
But fun fact: did you know that PlayStation US CEO Jim Ryan made just shy of $7 billion last year?
Is that
But
all?
instead of executives shaving a small portion of their salary off, let's go ahead and pass that on to the consumer. Like, let them pay for that burden. That seems right, right? $7 billion a year to one dude, and that guy or his team can't take a little bit of a price cut to accommodate the market. Especially in uh like this economic climate, people are already struggling. There's a lot of things going on. So this fucking dude that's making $7 billion a year has the fucking audacity to pass that, additional cost to move a console to their consumer.
Yeah.
That is so fucked up. Like, this is the thing. Like, these companies don't give a shit about you. Like, they don't care about
No.
what you want. They want to make money, and they're going to
Yeah.
do whatever they can to do it. And the less you, the consumer, need to know or be involved in, the better for them. So
Tell me again to get a PS5, Sean.
I know it
Wow.
sucks. It sucks, but I want you to be
Plus,
able to
like,
play
games
with me.
are $90 to $100 just for a regular brand new game too. So like,
Yeah, I mean, that's
nothing
not
making me want to play games anymore.
well. That's not just PlayStation. That's Xbox One too.
Yeah, but still, like, they want us to pay $1,000 for the console and then $100 for the game, and then they're like, "What do you mean you're mad?"
Yeah.
I know.
Gee, I don't know.
I know. The increase in regions affected are as follows. Europe is increasing 50 euros. UK is increasing 30 pounds. Canada is increasing 50 Canadian dollars. Japan is increasing 5,000 yen, which is about $50. Australia is increasing about 50 Australian dollars. And it's also increasing similarly in China and Mexico as well. So basically everywhere but the US.
US is
It's
5
going up.
cheeseburgers.
And this
That's about
increase
$50.
is effective
at
immediately,
Starbucks.
except for in Japan. It's going to increase on September 5th. And guess what? Immediately after this increase happened, somehow PS5s are available. It's been impossible to get a PS5 for 2 years. And as soon as the price goes up, hey, we found a bunch.
Oh, here they were.
Oh,
They were
look.
under the couch.
Found.
Wow, who'd have thought? What a
Found
coincidence
a
that we found
bunch.
all these
Yeah.
thousands of PS5s that nobody could find. Interesting.
Hmm.
And even though this quote doesn't affect the US, it does. Like, it does affect the US. It affects everybody because it's all, the global market is a thing. There's only a finite amount of these systems, and it's going to feed into each other. Like, it's going to increase importing out of the US because they're cheaper, which is going to strain the demand in America and shoot the fucking prices up. So yeah,
Speaking
you
of-
can't say that it doesn't affect the fucking US. Maybe not right this second, but I bet you in probably a couple weeks it will.
Sean, speaking of, you'll have to buy me one, and then I'll give you the equivalent of that in your monies.
I was going to say that like before I
Yeah.
realized about the price increase. I was going to say
You
that.
guys can buy me one at a cheaper price, and I'll just give you the right money for it.
I was just saying, you can Venmo.
Yeah, I mean, if you wanted to get one, I would definitely get you one here, but I would
Now more than
probably
ever.
I would probably do that soon because, like, even though they're available now, I guarantee it's because of this price spike.
I'll start a
And
GoFundMe.
people are gonna, like, in all the like in every area but US, and probably scalpers in the US too, they're gonna panic buy. Like, they're available and they're increasing in price. like everybody's going to want to get one for as cheap as possible. So they're going to buy it from America, which is going to fuck us over, and availability is going to disappear real quick. And then scalpers are going to fucking buy them in the fucking, 20s. They're going to buy as many as they can, which is also going to feed into them disappearing. And then the prices are going to jump. I mean, shit, fucking until like around the time that I just got mine. Before that, people were paying between $800 and $1,000 for a PS5. So now with this panic and the increase, the fucking prices of these things are going to go through the fucking roof. It's going to be insane. And again, this shortage has been for 2 years. So like, are these just going to be impossible to find and like go for $1,500 a pop if you want a PS5 going forward? It's crazy. It's absurd.
It's stupid.
I hate to say it, but this is a point towards digital, maybe.
How?
I don't know. I mean, I use my existing hardware. And yeah, if when I get another computer, I'll have to drop it at like 1,000, maybe 1,500 if I want a really good computer. But
I'll give you this. It's a
dual
point
purpose.
towards PC.
I just said that.
You said it's a point towards digital,
Okay.
which is PC,
Touche.
but
Touche. Okay.
not
I
quite the same
understand
thing.
your distinction.
But again, like I said,
I
comparing
respect the
this
distinction you made.
generation, the previous generation, and kind of the one before that, PC makes more sense.
Yeah.
Like
That's what we're
if
doing.
things stay the same as they are now or they get worse, you should be a PC gamer. Like there's just no way around it. It doesn't make sense to not. And I fucking hate that. I don't want to play on PC. I never wanted that. But it doesn't make sense to not in this environment. It sucks. You know what else sucks?
Resident Evil.
The Resident Evil Netflix TV show.
Oh no, I need to watch that, and I have a feeling I'm gonna like it.
And it has
so
been
beware.
canceled. Thank God.
Are you shitting me?
I've been waiting for this news.
Are you shitting me?
It's the best news I've seen in a while.
You shit. Okay, I'm gone.
So the show ran 8 episodes and was another terrible stain on the Resident Evil brand name. Cancellation was announced only a month after the show's premiere on July 14th, which is probably some kind of a record. What's confusing about this is that Netflix has shown that they can absolutely make like adaptations of things. Like they can do it well. They did Arcane, which was amazing. I love that show. They did Castlevania, which was also great. Had some ups and downs, but overall, really good show. They adapted both of those really well. And then they have the opposite, where they do Cowboy Bebop and Death Note and Resident Evil. Like, they're so polar opposite, but it's the same company. You know, like, where's that direction coming from that they can be so, they can fucking nail it so perfectly and then drop the ball as hard as possible in the same company within a span of, what, 5 years? I'm pretty sure it's the same management staff within that time frame. Like, I don't understand what the fuck happened. It's worth noting that both Cowboy Bebop and Resident Evil both had forced social issues and social views and shit like that in them, which I'm sure didn't help. But what really hurt these franchises the most was the lack of understanding of like the source material and just poor writing. You know, like those are the bigger issues. Like clearly on both accounts for Cowboy Bebop and Resident Evil, they didn't get it. You know, they didn't appreciate or respect, you know, what they were drawing from. They just I mean, part of it is that they're using, you know, well-known, appreciated properties to be a platform to, you know, make a statement or whatever the fuck. That's not great. But it's also the changes that they make in the name of that directly damage, you know, timelines and characters and character arcs and, you know, where things go and what the characters do. And they don't feel like those characters anymore, or they don't look like them, or both. Or, you know, they're afraid to follow an arc because, you know, maybe it's not socially acceptable, or, you know, it'd be better if we got rid of this arc to do this other thing that might be received better. Like when you do shit like that, you're alienating the audience. God damn it. Hello, Carmen. But like you can avoid some of that shit by just having a good writer or a good writing team, again, that either does the research and in the community as well as the source material itself to understand, like, what am I drawing from? What's important? Why is it important? What are the fans saying? Like, it's not hard with access to the internet and social media to get a solid grasp on what people like about a thing and why it's important. So it's just a matter of putting in the time and effort to do that because you give a shit, or it's about an agenda, or it's about what's going to sell, and it fucking destroys things by doing that. Again, look at Arcane. Fucking amazing. And to be fair, like, I don't know if they changed a bunch of shit on that game because, like, it's League of Legends, right? Yeah. Like, I'm not a big fan of that. I don't know a whole lot about the story. They might have changed things. I don't know. But my understanding of that game is, even though they probably have a lot of text-based lore and stuff like that, like, it's a little bit different to me personally because, you're not attached to, like, you have your own mental interpretation of something when it's all text. You know what I mean? Like, you're kind of building out that character.
Yeah,
Which,
well, with League of Legends, it's kind of similar, but like it is all text-based lore, but at the same time, like they've given the characters like different voices, different taunts, different jokes, different stuff like that. And like for someone who played the shit out of Vi when I played that game, when I watched Arcane and like watched Vi, like her how they made her, I was like, oh my god, they fucking nailed it. Like that's exactly the what you're expecting of that character. She's just like, don't give a fuck, I'm gonna do it anyways, get myself in trouble, don't care, like I break the law, whatever.
right?
It
See,
was
that's
perfect.
great. See, and that's what I'm talking about. Like, whoever was heading that project got it. Like, they put in the time and effort to understand the characters and they executed on that. And on top of that, it was quality. The
But it's one
production
game though. That's the thing. It's like one game.
What
It's
do
a
you
lot
mean?
less. To make a series out of one game is probably a lot easier than to make a series out of like an entire franchise
Yeah, I
which has
was.
like so many different directions.
I disagree 100%. Like, again,
Yeah.
it's about understanding the material. Like, especially with Resident Evil, like, you have so many examples of what doesn't work. You had 6 fucking movies from Paul Anderson. You had 3 or 4 of the CG movies. You had the Netflix animated adaptation. You had the rebooted movie, and tons of feedback on that. Why was it not received well? What did it do good? What did it do? Like, how did it do bad? Like, you have all this information that you can build off of.
They're not listening
And
to the
yeah,
fans.
they're not listening to any of that. They're completely tone deaf when it comes to that.
I think it has to do with like a respect for the source material, whether it's a passionate love for the source material, which they're just perhaps passionate about dollars, or it has to do with a great attention to detail. Like, remember when we saw the I know this is apples and oranges because we're talking Netflix versus big screen film, but when we saw the Resident Evil movie, the attention to detail, when I saw that, the attention to detail for just the set was absolutely just beautiful and fantastic. The script was kind of a hot pile, but so somebody there had that desire or that passion to make it good, but it did not translate to the whole darn thing, and that's a bit of a problem.
Yeah, and even if you boil it down to money, which at the end of the day, that's what it's about, regardless of creative, yeah, it's a creative medium, but at the end of the day, it's about the money. But even if you even look at it from that perspective, like, if I'm going to take on a property, I want it to do well. I want it to appeal to the audience that I'm marketing it to, and I want them to love it and ask me for tons more of it. and to throw money at me. Like that's what I want. So how am I going to do that? Um, let's look at what they want. Let's see what, the Resident Evil community is very vocal. Like it's not that hard to figure out like what are they asking for? What are they
But
complaining
they're
about? And then again, getting somebody, I would want somebody to helm that project who is passionate about it, who
yes.
understands it. So
Mhm.
that's my responsibility to find that person that's going to do it justice. So either I'm going to spend the time and effort to do that or not.
You know what I
Like
kind of wish, or I kind of wonder, just to interrupt you a little tiny bit, is I was just now thinking of all of the celebrities that we know of that are like fantastic, passionate freaking nerds who have a who have a penchant for what do you call, like, love projects? What do you call
Pet
passion
projects.
projects?
Passion project.
Yeah. So there are, I wish that perhaps, we're starting to see certain celebrities kind of take on projects, when they're bored, let's say actors and actresses, when they're bored doing the thing that got them famous, then they start, and they have that money because now they have billions, not billions, but like millions of dollars to fund whatever the hell they want. That perhaps, I wish that we could just have um someone kind of
Oh,
oh, you're frozen, Carmen.
I think when she freezes, we freeze to her.
I said
Oh,
I was hoping that they would pick it up in that way. And by the way, I'm chatting with technical support. Shh. But yes.
yeah. There, in my opinion, it just there's not really an excuse for it. It's like either you're willing to put in the time and effort that you need to do to make it good or not. Resident Evil is, a lot of the fan base even talks about like what they want. If you're going to make a television show that's running a long time, which is a great platform for Resident Evil because there is so much content, rather than going off and making whatever your fucking vision of it is. Like nobody gives a shit about like what you think Resident Evil should be. Fuck
Right.
the source material. Like they
Yeah,
want to
they're
see their characters and their storylines, the reasons why they love the source material, not your vision of it. Like fuck off. So
right.
you if you use a long form platform like television, like a TV show, start simple. Like you don't have to cram everything into one thing or like pull bits and pieces from like 20 different games and just shove them into a new story or some shit like that. Take your fucking time. You're making a TV series.
Right.
Start with 0 or
There should
1,
be no excuse.
like I would say start with 1 cuz the fan base for 0 is kind of mixed. It's a mixed bag. Some people like it, some people don't. Most Resident most Resident Evil fans like 1. So start with 1. Take your time, flesh it out. It's a different form of media. So like use the time that you would normally spend playing the game to flesh out the characters in a meaningful way that is true to their character. And you need somebody that understands the material to do that. So you've got to make sure you have the right person to do that, but you can do it. And it shouldn't be that difficult for somebody that's interested in that content and what they're making, to because they have bullet points or they have a framework. They've got like all these bits of information about what this character is and how they act and things that they've been through, and they can flesh out a realistic character within those points that makes sense, without violating the character. Like part of the problem with the Resident Evil Welcome to Raccoon City bullshit is that they either wanted to change all the characters or they didn't understand them because they were
Yeah.
being different from what they should be. They were acting ways that they wouldn't in the context of the video game. So that tells me that like this isn't the character that I want. Like you
If
don't know what you're talking about in this story. And that's a big fucking problem. Like Wesker was, spoiler alert for Welcome to Raccoon City, like Wesker's a good guy at the end of the day. Like what? Did you play the games? Like you don't know what you're talking about.
it's like they filmed they wrote and directed and filmed the whole thing based off of a synopsis that they were given rather than, oh, I don't know, researching it. a bit more. If that makes sense. It feels like they took what they assume about the characters and just went with that, or what they like. If I had watched a movie and I had only caught 15 seconds here and there, and like 10 minutes here and 7 minutes there, and I thought I knew the
7.
entire thing. I thought I knew the entire thing about the movie, and I went ahead and I tried to write a sequel. And also apparently not having seen the actual ending of it.
It's like you're doing a book report and you watch the movie instead of reading the book.
Right. You know what's hilarious?
Yes.
Capcom has
Which we all-
officially released
I have not.
2 compendium books, like that fucking thick each, filled with the story and the characters. Like, you don't even have to go that far. Go buy those 2 books, read through them. That's everything you need to know about the games. Like, there's all your like skeletons for where you're going to write the additional content, like, so that you can understand the character. What would they do and what wouldn't they do, and what are they like? Like, even if you don't know, that'll give you a pretty good idea, rather than, oh, Leon's just a fucking pussy now and he has no character development whatsoever. That's great. Wesker's a good guy. Okay. Well, like, what are you doing? You're just actively trying to piss people off at that point. And it's funny because there were moments in that movie that they did pretty interestingly. Like, parts of the set that they did for the mansion were great, parts were not. They did that confined space where Chris is like fighting in the dark and it's all claustrophobic, and that was cool. It was a good interpretation of like what that feeling in the game would look like on film. And that's exactly why you're making the movie. That's the whole point. And if you can't do that throughout the runtime of the movie, then why bother? Like, you're just wasting everybody's time and you're wasting millions of dollars. Like, do it properly. I don't get it.
I mean,
Now,
no, just I'm with you. I get it.
I like what Scott said. Just put Duel on Netflix. Let's go. Come call me, Capcom. Let's work it out. We'll make a live action Duel. I will help you. We'll write it together. I am in charge of casting. All right. So now we just need to cancel Resident Evil 9 and we're good. What else we got? Oh God. Where's my thumbnail? There it is. Fear Effect Reinvented has dropped its first gameplay trailer, and it looks terrible. It looks like that. It looks like that. That is not what you want your game to look like in 2022. That is not a good-looking game, first off. And secondly, I don't know if any of you guys have played Fear Effect, but no. That's not what it should look like. That is
Blood
not
was added on MS Paint.
So the trailer was less than a minute long, but it shows you pretty much everything you need to know. The publisher has been bless you. The publisher has been marketing this remake as a true to the original remake, and this trailer shows you that that is 100% not true. The previously fixed camera survival horror game is now a generic third-person cover-based shooter. Does that sound faithful?
Yay. Yeah, absolutely.
Like, literally the opposite. You have survival horror, fixed cameras. What are we looking at? Why are there a bunch of soldiers shooting at you while you're hiding behind cover?
Because it's the effect of the fear.
How is that true to the source material?
There's one guy that's like mid getting killed and he's like doing a fucking backflip or something.
It's a horror. It's a survival horror for him.
I guess.
Well, it's more like a dying horror because it's definitely not surviving.
But again, like, it goes back to, hiring the right people and being responsible with your project. Like, you're telling me nobody saw, like, this entire company, no one saw this and was like, what the fuck is this? Like, didn't we say that we're making this true to the original? This looks nothing. No one noticed a problem here. Nobody noticed a difference in the gameplay mechanics or the presentation from one to the other.
They were all sleeping.
Or how about this? It should be a requirement. Ooh, check this out. Follow me. No one's going to listen. But it would be great if we could have a company, Capcom, make it a requirement that whoever takes on their projects has to pass a frickin' test. And I'm serious, like a trivia quiz, like detailed knowledge has to, write a frickin' report about it. Has to have, we're talking about book reports earlier, has to have detailed, intimate, firsthand knowledge of the lore or literally what they are going to be um, replicating, reproducing, remastering, rebooting, whatever. They have to have a baseline knowledge. Wouldn't that be great? Like a freaking interview, but not just, oh, can you direct? Okay, that's great. Do you have, but do you know this is a pre-established, we're not looking necessarily for, I mean, creativity is great. To have a new twist on something is great, but again, I'm a continuity nerd myself. Just let's have somebody have a great understanding, like a very good understanding about that. And I'm gonna bring one of my fandoms into it. I love Star Trek, right? And their animated series that we were talking about a little bit earlier, Lower Decks, there are so many layered upon layered upon layers, jokes upon jokes upon jokes upon jokes, and it's a comedy, and it's whatever, it's great. But the thing is every single one of those things, or not every, like there's tons and tons and tons of referential humor, which is like practically almost inside joke, because you have to have been an absolute, like, eagle-eyed nerd to have caught those things. You have to know, like, they have just all the subtle things and all the blatant things and everything in between, and the obscure shit and the mainstream shit, and they have all the shit, man. They have all the shit. And if I can say nothing else about all these new Star Trek shows that have been coming out, Lower Decks has it covered. They know what they're doing. Whoever is running that show, whoever is writing for that show, it's fantabulous. And
Wait, so they did it well?
Just do what they're doing. They did it well.
Oh, okay, I thought you were going towards like they fucked it up, and that's like, no, you're like, listen, I love Star Trek, but
no, that's the absolute opposite. No. Okay, so I have mixed feelings on. They have like 4 or 5 new, current generation, like right now, with new episodes coming out. They have like 4 or 5 different Star Trek series out there, right? They have Prodigy, Lower Decks, Picard, Strange New Worlds, and Discovery, right? So they have like 5 shows out, right? I have mixed feelings about all of them except for Lower Decks. Dr. Cat. I don't know what Dr. Cat is, but they have like all those, and the one that I can absolutely what? Yeah, I don't get it. But I mean, of all those shows where they got some things wrong and some things, kind of mixed feelings about, Lower Decks, the animated show, what I'm saying is that they had the detail and the passion and the continuity, and they had the things. Maybe you don't like adult animation, maybe you don't like comedy in your stories or whatever, but they had the right idea, like they had somebody paying attention. That's what I'm saying. So they should have, it would be great, it would be ideal if they could have some sort of screening to know that the person that you're putting in front of the project knows what the fuck they're doing, like in a prove it to me kind of sense. Take a mother frickin' test, please, and thank you.
It's like that time we almost got one person on the podcast who'd never seen Duel. We were like,
Was it me?
That
They're
was
like, so what do you
weird,
guys talk about on the podcast? We're like 100 episodes in, bro. What?
right? It's like
It was
not.
probably me.
No,
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 it was
no,
not.
because you're here, and you were
And-
in Duel.
Yeah, I was gonna say, what the fuck?
I was in it,
I was
but
like, wait a minute, you were in that shit.
I was.
Are
I
you one of
was.
those actors that's like, I don't watch my own shit?
Me. Sorry,
No,
this
Um,
sounds like
But yeah,
I've watched it.
they do what you're talking about. Like, not to that degree. It's not like a test, but I don't
Make it a
pretend to.
test.
I thought that was an alarm. Good, shut the fuck up, phone. Jesus Christ.
It's almost time for Carmen too.
That's fine.
Goodness.
What was I saying?
On purpose this
Oh
time.
yeah. So like, I don't pretend to fully understand like the movie industry or anything like that, or the gaming industry, how that creative process works. But like, I have a general understanding of kind of how things go, and
Is it all about nepotism?
there is a point in time very early where there's a pitch. These projects don't just materialize out of thin air.
movie.
Someone has to have an idea and present it to someone, whether it's the investors or a director or some person or group, where they have to sell it before any money goes into it. Why are we putting money in it? Right? So where's the misfire? Like, why the fuck can't whoever's at the top, who's on the receiving end of the pitch, just have that recognition of like, well, do you understand this? Like, what are you presenting to me? Is it going in the right direction? Is there money to be made? Like how do we do this properly? Right? If they have that perspective of like that, if we're going to do this and we're going to put money into it, we need to do it properly, because we have so
Right.
many examples of this where it's failed. So like, you'd think there'd be a bottleneck of this shit where it's like, this failed, that failed, this failed, those four failed. What's different about yours? Like, clearly through my research, I can tell, like, on these misfires, the fan base said this, they don't like the deviation, they don't like the infusion of X and Y. So, have a conversation about that. Make sure that we're hitting these bullet points because the audience is saying we want these bullet points. If you're doing that, great, we can do it. Like, there's a way to verify this and do it properly, but it just seems like everybody up there at the top is just like, I'm making billions of dollars and I don't give a shit about anything. But like, at the end of the day, eventually you're going to get to the point where you're not making millions or billions of dollars anymore, because like, you've alienated all of your audiences and you've killed all of your IPs, and there's nobody gives a shit about what you're selling anymore. So maybe care. Again, it's about like, it's about looking to the future and planning ahead, and rather than just being in the moment and making the money now and
Right.
making it quickly. Like, what happens tomorrow? What happens next year? Like, nobody's like, even organizations and companies as well as people don't seem to give a shit about that.
It
And I
concerns me.
promise you, there's going to come a point where we're in that future, and it will matter then.
Mhm. What is their measure of success, though? It concerns me a little bit because we'll have those shows or movies or whatever that are greatly anticipated and start out with a big bang, and then they're
fan fiction.
saying fan fiction is good or bad, or I'm confused.
Like, when somebody starts, I don't know, I'm just thinking, it's making me think of fan fiction when they do that. Like, it starts off with like, they're going into a mansion. I'm using Resident Evil as an example, and then it's just like, and then this like a bunch of fucking random shit because you're like, let's do this. That's what happened to the W.S. Anderson movies. It started off as like The Fall of Umbrella, which was, the first one was, to me, fucking amazing movie.
It was good.
And then the more shit they brought into it, the more you were like, I'm sorry, what? What are you doing?
Yeah.
Why is there what?
It felt like fan fiction. It really did.
Yeah.
But sometimes fan fiction, like,
is better than what they do.
I was gonna say is good. I was
Can
gonna
be.
say I gotta be very careful
Well,
with that. But
who
sometimes
writes the fan fiction usually? People that give a shit about the
Fans.
source material.
yeah.
people who are passionate
Right?
about it.
Teenagers.
So yeah, they're more likely to whip up a script that fucking makes sense, unless they're just an
Right.
idiot and they're just like, oh well, no, these two characters that don't, they're just gonna make out
These-
because I want them to
yeah,
make out.
because they're hot.
Like there's dumb people too, but
Yeah.
people that are taking it serious and are really doing it properly, they have a lot more potential than some executive or some director with a vision or whatever the fuck they're going to do.
hmm
But yeah, there's got to be a balance, and that factors into making money. So why are we not figuring this out? Like,
Mm.
there's an audience there. God damn it. Hello.
I swear to fucking goodness.
All right.
Oh
Before we
my
get into the next
Gosh.
news article, did you need to get out of here, Carmen?
I do kind of, and tech support wants me at troubleshoot, and I said I'm in the middle of a literal stream right now, so you could just eat biscuits. But I don't want to go.
It's up to you.
I don't
You
want
can
to go
piss off
because
the
oh my God,
people.
but
This is
then-
more important.
But then you guys are going to be like, oh yeah, we did another 45 minutes without you, and I'll be like, oh, thank you.
Yeah, probably.
Now, once we get through the news, we're pretty much done. So, and we're like halfway through the news.
Only halfway through.
Well, maybe
Oh,
more.
goodness.
1, 2,
Oh goodness.
3,
Yeah, my mom might kill me
4. Yeah, 4,
if I
5.
don't.
Yeah,
Yep.
we got a little bit more. So,
What?
Uh,
Satan says hello.
bye, Carmen.
hello, Satan. And I finally got the thing about the cat doctor
Wow.
after it was explained to me.
Wow.
So, yeah. Dr. Tiana. Or Tiana? All right.
What you
Well,
doing?
good
What
night.
you doing? Okay. Bye, bye.
Bye.
Thanks for joining us. Have a good night.
It was. Bye.
Wow. Okay. Bye.
Bye.
Wow. News. That's what we're doing here today. This one is kind of a little bit of an older one, sort of, but I wanted to talk about it because it's Resident Evil. Resident Evil continues to whore itself out. So it was rumored for a while that Wesker was going to be added to Dead by Daylight as a killer, and that has now been confirmed, obviously, as you can see in the screenshot. Wesker is...
So stupid.
He
Looks like
does.
a monkey.
He does look silly. Wesker is, in fact, the next DLC killer in the game, as well as Rebecca and Ada as survivors. And I mean, I guess it's fine or whatever. Like I like Dead by Daylight, and obviously, like killing people in Dead by Daylight as Wesker is kind of cool and everything. Like it's not something that I hate. I think it can be fun, but it's more about like the bigger picture here. Like Capcom is just pouring mediocre Resident Evil content like anywhere and everywhere that they can. In the last 3 years, like this is the second DLC that's Resident Evil themed for Dead by Daylight. We had RE DLC in Monster Hunter. We had it in The Division. We had it in PUBG Mobile, Life After Mobile, Fortnite, Rainbow Six Extinction, and I'm pretty sure there's more. We got 2 shitty TV shows. We got a shitty movie. We got a game, a mainline Resident Evil title that doesn't feel like Resident Evil at all. That's getting a fucking re-release. And to whore that out even more, if you pre-order, you get a stupid costume for a character that I hate that gets a beanie. Like it's just like all the stupid little things that they're doing with the Resident Evil name. It's just like the more bullshit that you just shovel out there into the universe, the less special it is. Like take your time and make meaningful quality content. Like you don't yeah, I get it. Resident Evil's popular right now. Great. It doesn't mean you need to milk it at every fucking opportunity. Like you don't need to put Resident Evil costumes in every fucking thing you possibly can, even when it looks terrible or it makes no sense to do so. You know, like you don't have to put out these shitty movies. Like put in, like we were talking about, put in the time to do it properly. Like it just doesn't make sense. Instead of releasing all this shit all over the place within a short amount of time, like why don't you just make quality shit? Why don't you spend the time to get the right people involved to make the things good, to resonate with the fan base, to be of
Resident
quality?
Evil.
It doesn't make sense. So like every time I see, oh god, there's a new Resident Evil themed DLC or crossover or blah blah blah. Like every time Resident Evil pops up in general at this point, instead of being excited, I'm concerned. You know, it's like, oh god, what the fuck are they doing now? And most of the time it's something disappointing. There would have been a time years ago where, you know, doing a crossover DLC of quality in a game that made sense, I'd be excited about. But like, I don't fucking want some shitty looking Jill outfit in Rainbow Six. Why do I care about that? I don't. And it doesn't even look good. So you're just making me like burnt out and disappointed by this shit. Like give us what we want. Don't just fucking run the franchise into the ground because you think it's going to sell because it says Resident Evil on it. It's not great. I'm just looking at the chat.
Meow. I should get back into Dead by Daylight, but I only really enjoyed that game when we all played like as a big group, not with random people and shit.
Yeah, Scott hit the nail in the head. The goal isn't to make quality stuff to sell well. It's about propaganda 100% of the time. Look for fake diversity casting, right? Trying to hit that demographic because money, and that's the thing to do. Trend, you know, being trendy, you know, following the zeitgeist is like the thing to do these days. And that sucks. You know, like have a vision, do something interesting, do something that makes sense. Don't just chase the bandwagon. You know, it's like I said earlier, it's such a fucking travesty that Capcom used to be the property that defined a lot of things. Horror, it defined its own genre that it created. It influenced other games. It fucking defined a different genre with Resident Evil 4. You know, it like revolutionized the gaming industry by building a game engine and a play style that just worked with everything in general, action and horror and shit that still felt today because they gave a shit. You know, they were trying to make something new and fresh and exciting rather than what's popular. You know, what's a cool monster that we can put in there? Werewolves and vampires are cool. Let's do that. Or let's make it first person because, you know, look at all the YouTubers playing the first person horror games and brr, brr, brr. You know, like just stop. You don't like putting in a pursuer character in every fucking single game you put out. Why? That's just lazy bullshit. You know, and I feel like the only reason we even got a Resident Evil 3 remake is because like they knew people would demand it and they could just kind of build that on the side of Resident Evil 2. And I'm sure that's what they did, and that's what it feels like. It's not a bad game, but it's not what it could have been. Could have been a lot better. You know? Even Resident Evil 2 remake, there's some things that they could have done better. And they're the ones that showed the world like this is how you make a remake. They did it. They did it better than anybody else in the industry. But again, why did they not put in the time and effort to do it again? They created the formula for it. How could they not do it again? It's so dumb.
Meow.
Yeah, they asked you know, the fans that were making their own remake to shut it down so that they could make their own. Like you're obligated at that point to do it justice. You told the fans to stop making the game that they wanted so that you could do it. Like, how can you not nail that? That's bullshit. It's insulting is what it is, really. But yeah, and again, this is fucked up. Like it's such an awkward position for me to be in as like a massive Resident Evil fan. I just told you I bought this stupid game that It's going to sit on my shelf for forever. And you know, almost all those are just going to sit on the shelf in my Resident Evil collection.
All games that
I
you
didn't
buy.
I didn't buy those to play them. I just want to own them because I give a shit about Resident Evil. And here I am, like podcast after podcast, bitching about Resident Evil. It's because I give a shit. And, you know, I see the problems, and Capcom can do a lot better. And, but like standards and expectations are just so fucking low, and people are just so whatever blah. They're so passe about like what comes out. You know, if it's halfway decent, then whoa, it's great. It's fine. It's fine. That's what everybody else says. It's fine. This is a kind of weird one. I'm dying. PlayStation 5 is getting tournaments. This was apparently a feature implemented on the PS4 in 2016. I had no idea this was ever a thing, and it'll be making its way to PS5 in beta form sometime in the next few weeks or so. This time around, Sony is saying the experience will be more polished and completely integrated within the PS5 system. Tournaments will have its own space within the ecosystem and will showcase more frequent and consistent activity than before. The results and the bracket statuses will be updated on the fly as the tournaments progress, and tournaments will be split into smaller groups over shorter time frames, allowing more tournaments and less waiting. So that's kind of an interesting thing. I didn't know that you could enter tournaments on PlayStation consoles and like win prizes and shit. Apparently this has been a thing for like 5 years. So
Well, I
that's
know that they introduced that like video game tournaments as esports, and they were like, "Oh, it's a kind of sport," and that like I saw it from the other side of where like sports people were like, "The fuck," but like, I guess it makes sense, especially now with what this was 2015, 2016.
2016, yeah.
Yeah, so like now, like it makes sense where if you implement that in a new console that just came out in like 2021. Is that when the PS5 came out?
Well, they're just implementing it now for PS5.
Yeah, but I mean, like this console came out like post COVID, and you have a lot of people. Like I know it's not COVID, but I feel like it's a really cool option for people who are still not able to leave the house, go to like game places where you can have tournaments, or game like conventions where Sony shows up and they're like, "We're doing this big tournament, sign up, blah blah blah." Like it's cool to implement that in the console.
Yeah.
And people can still do stuff that they would have liked to do before, but like they're polishing it, like you said, like they're making it like what, easier access, or like nicer, smoother,
yeah,
more organized.
Again, like how often do I look at the PlayStation interface and I've never even known this was a thing? Like that's kind of a problem. So now it's going to, like, I think I've seen a couple of like panels or whatever that said something about a tournament, but I figured they were like one-off things.
It'll be more known
I
to the
didn't really
public.
care about. But like now there's going to be like a store, or not a store, but like a tab or whatever built within the framework of the interface that's just for tournaments. So you go to the tournaments tab, and then you can see like what's going on, and you'll just know, okay, well, there's tournaments always happening, and I can look at that and see kind of like what's going on. And they won't be long drawn out tournaments like they were before. They're going to be smaller ones where like people can, you know, they can join this short little thing for like, say, Call of Duty, that's like a week or a day or whatever. And then that one will end quicker, and then that makes room for like whatever, Street Fighter, Battlefield, whatever. You know, you get more variety in there and get more people involved in it. So that's pretty cool. And the tournaments, they mentioned like you don't have to have a high level of skill to win prizes. I don't really know what exactly that means, but you can win up to like $200 and some like DLC and whatnot. So that's not bad. It's pretty substantial, you know, worth your time. So yeah, I think that's a really cool idea. And since I have a PS5 now, I guess like I'll take a look at that and see, because that I used to like way back in the day, like I would go to the game stores and enter tournaments, and it's a fun time, you know, like you spend a lot of, especially with like a fighter, you know, you spend a lot of time practicing and, you know, getting really good at a character. And if that's kind of all you do with the game and that's kind of it, you know, it's not really impressive. You know, like nobody gets to see like the payoff of like all your time and effort into playing this game. but then you can go online and you can kind of be in a small part and be part of like that whole esports kind of hype or whatever, and you can showcase your skills and all your hard work, with a group of people that I'm assuming other people can like drop in and watch the people playing, and you'll have like an audience, and you can fight and win other players. It's just kind of like a fun experience as like a competitive player. If you, especially like I said, fighting games, anybody who likes and plays fighting games will appreciate that like platform or whatever to be able to showcase their skills. But yeah, it's cool. I like it. I'm glad that they're doing that. I wish I had known that it was a thing earlier. I would have probably checked it out, but whatever. Um, That's not what I want. That's not what I want. That's what I want.
Naked people.
Naked. What?
Or I thought she was like not wearing pants.
She has pants, barely. Dead Island 2 is actually coming out. How about that? After spending a decade in development and rumors of its cancellation, Dead Island 2 has resurfaced, and it actually looks really fucking good. Typically, when games limbo in development, they either get canceled or they come out kind of mediocre or terrible. But looking at the reveal gameplay trailer that they released at Gamescom, like it doesn't seem to be the case. The graphics look really good. So it's not an old engine. They've kind of rebuilt everything up with new technology. It's not that that old game that they showed off in like I think 2014. Looks way better than that. Looks like it deserves to be on the modern consoles. There's a really amazing looking gore system that they have in there where like you can totally fuck up the zombies. Like you can cut them in half. You can like when you punch them, like you can punch your fist like through the zombie's head and shit, and it's like super gory. You can like throw saw blades and cut zombie heads off and stuff like that. Like it's really detailed, and it's gonna have a bigger focus on like melee combat and stuff like that. So pretty cool. I don't know if you've ever played Doom 2016. Like that was a pretty gory game, but this like blows that shit out of the water. So if like you're a gore fanatic, this is definitely gonna check the box for you. I don't think I've seen anything quite that. Well, maybe Mortal Kombat, I guess, but it's pretty intense. Yeah. But you'll have access to 6 playable characters who all follow essentially the same storyline. You might have like a little bit of a different perspective based on like how the character reacts to the storyline, but it's going to be basically one streamlined story. I think that's kind of how Dead Island 1 was. Like they kind of interacted with the story a little bit different based on their personality, but you had that one normal story. Like they didn't
I
each
don't
have.
remember. I know they all started, I think, in different places, maybe.
But they all fought like they all talk to the same people, and
Yeah.
you ended up fighting the same boss. Like I think it's going to be that, but like you'll have the twist of the character's like perspective or whatever.
Yeah.
This one seems a lot more lighthearted this time. It kind of has like a Sunset Overdrive take on the zombie genre, where it's like over the top and kind of goofy and whatnot, which is pretty cool. I think that'll fit well into what they're doing, especially with the over the top gore and whatnot. And there's finally a release date. It's going to come out on February 3rd, 2023, so it's not that far away. And I think I'm gonna get it. It looks like I was kind of indifferent before. Like I liked Dead Island in general, the original one. Like I wasn't a huge fan of it, but I thought it was a pretty good game. And I was interested in the new one. The trailer that they put out forever ago looked kind of cool. So I was kind of keeping my eye on it. But yeah, that the new trailer definitely sold me on it. It looks really cool. So you should get it and we can play it. It'll be great. Even though we didn't play the first one together. We bought it and played it.
I have like a limit for the games that are just another like run around killing zombies. Like I don't know if it's just because they fall into like generic zombie games and they're always the same thing in the end. But like if it's just that, like you have weapons, you find weapons, like Dead Rising was like entertaining when it first came out, and then I played the second one and I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. But then like as I played it, I was like, it's the same thing. And I don't know, to me, like I get bored. Like, you know how like I need some sort of difference in my games, which I don't understand why. Like that's like example, like PUBG. Like I could play the shit out of PUBG. I've already gotten the platinum trophy and everything. But if I play it alone, I get killed, and I'm like, I don't want to wait again to load and just do the same thing again. But if I'm playing it with you guys, it's more entertaining. So like, it's kind of a hit or miss when it comes to zombies. Like Zombie Army Trilogy, we laughed so hard playing that shit because of the stupid things that happened. The zombies glitching through the fence. Like I rewatched some of the videos of us playing, and it was just like just ridiculous. And like we're punching each other, we're blowing each other up. And that one was like super different. But like when we were playing Dead Island and we spent the whole time just driving in circles because we kept getting lost and not sure where we were going, and I lost you guys and we're learning. I was like, it's just another like first person running around killing zombies, and I don't know. So I feel like this is gonna be new characters, new settings, new like gore stuff, but in the end, I still feel like it's just gonna be another first person killing zombies game, and I'm getting limited with the zombie stuff. Like I feel like there's too many zombie content stuff now, and it's hard to really be in. Like that's not the reason why, but I know you really wanted me to get that Back for Blood, and I'm just like I'm not in a big rush because I really enjoyed Left 4 Dead, and it'd be cool to play that again. But in the end, another zombie game, right? Like I want something different. Like I want a new horror game that's not zombie or not zombies.
Yeah, that's
or not
fair.
zombies.
I get that.
Yeah.
I guess. I mean, it's going to appeal to different people for different people, or not appeal to them for different reasons. So, I mean, I understand. Like for me personally, even though there's so much zombie shit these days, and I feel the burnout a little bit too. Like I've always been such a big zombie and horror fan that like I enjoy it. I like games that have that theme and that have zombies, which I mean, quite frankly, is part of the reason that Village is a slap in the face to me. You know, it's like we've gone so far away from zombies
Yeah,
and
it's a
that whole
game.
concept that it's not what I want. It's not what I've ever wanted from that franchise. So like, yeah, if there's a cool, looking zombie game, it's going to appeal to me, and then it can be good or bad from there. But like, I'll want to check it out because it has zombies, because it's horror. And I'm not a big fan of first person stuff in general, but I don't mind it. Like I'm okay with it as long as
Carmen.
as long as it's interesting. Oh
She's
my
watching
god,
the
Carmen,
podcast
no!
while driving.
What the hell?
Mom,
You're
I'm
gonna
gonna
wreck
be
your
late.
second
I pulled
car.
over because they were saying something funny and I couldn't watch. Oh man. But yeah, no, I like I feel like you're kind of you're more. I used to love zombies, but I feel like it got beaten to the ground because they're zombies.
Yeah, and to me too, like in terms of games being samey, you and I are very, very different in that regard, because for me, I want the thing I like. You know, if you say it's game 2, I expect it to be like fucking part 1. Like the reason I'm excited that you announced part 2 is because I liked the first one and I want more of that. So like, give me more of that. Like don't sell me the first one as third person melee combat game and then tell me 2's coming out and it's a first person shooter. Like, why? There's plenty of first person shooters out there. I can get that from somewhere else. If I'm buying your franchise, the sequel, I want it to be like the first one. Like, give me more of that. So the more it's like the first, that's part of why I like the newer Silent Hill games, and a lot of people don't, because it's more of the same. But that's what I want. Like, I don't want you to I want new things to keep it interesting, like add new mechanics and make it control better and tweak things here and there. But at the end of the day, like I want it to play like Silent Hill. I want it to play like Resident Evil. And if I'm bored with that, then when the next one comes out, I'm just going to avoid it. Like that's how I see things. And you can always go back to it. If two comes out of the thing and you're just kind of bored, or you've had your fill of, from the first game, and 2 comes out, then like don't play it for a while. And then when you're feeling like you want that experience again, then you can go back and play 2. And then you're getting a new version of the first thing that you liked. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Rather than just buying it and expecting something completely different. Like it doesn't make sense. Then you get Resident Evil 7. You know,
Seven.
you get Village, you know, something completely different. I don't
Yeah.
want different. I want the game that you're telling me that I'm gonna buy with that franchise name on it.
I feel like for 7, I had the same feeling for 7 that you did for like Village. Like it's the fact that they forced the first person on you, the fact that there was like not a single fucking zombie, a whole new array of characters you never heard of, and like a fucked up family, and you're like, where did that come from? How did Resident Evil go to that? And then I'm like, if that had just been its own game, it would have been like I honestly enjoyed playing through 7, except that the first person gets like, I just don't like first person games, but like I enjoyed playing through that game, but I had a hard time saying like, yeah, I enjoyed Resident Evil 7. Like I'm not like, obviously I'm not as big in Resident Evil as you are, but like if it had been a standalone game and then you said Village, like it was okay game, like on its own it was cool, but as a Resident Evil game it was garbage. I was like, why, where are the not Capcom people who can make games like that, like completely new horror games, give you a nice like spooky, oh my god, you're gonna turn the corner, what are you gonna see? But like, no, everything that's coming out is repetitive,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yep.
um it's not just games though. Like I think the zombies thing is pushing me to the limit because of like everything, TV shows, movies, everyone's got like something zombies, something of the dead, something of this. Like if you, for example, years and years back when I used to hang out with Andrew, I'd go to his house and he had downloaded all of like Walking Dead, and I watched the whole first season and I was like, oh, this is cool. But then like halfway through I'm going like, well, I still want to kind of see what happens to the characters, but it's just a generic guys surviving a zombie apocalypse show. And it's like such a huge series, and I get it, like it's good, it's not bad, whatever. I haven't read the comics, so I don't know what it did, but in the end it was just another giant zombie thing. I love it, but I don't, you know.
Yeah.
Which is why I really, really enjoy like, give me a horror. I actually wanted to like talk to you and see if you wanted to do like a little survival horror thing regarding that. Like what survival horrors that weren't zombie things that you'd like to see more of, like that kind and stuff like that. But time.
Yeah. Yeah, we could
Yeah.
do that. That'd be a fun conversation.
Yeah. After the
Scott said the writers of RE7 and 8 were Westerners. That might have something to do with it.
Westerners.
Which well, they weren't Japanese.
Mm.
Generally, Biohazard, Resident Evil comes from Japan. And yeah, maybe that's part of it, but the same thing happened with Silent Hill, and yes, that was felt in not a great way. But in terms of like transitioning from Japan to, you know, US developer, or were they American? Whatever, they weren't Japanese. So like the transition gameplay wise, that remained intact, but the writing definitely changed, and not for the better, obviously. Like I appreciated like the newer Silent Hills for like in their own right, but in terms of like old school Silent Hill, like it wasn't hitting the mark. And I get that, but I could still enjoy it because it played like a Silent Hill game. You know what I mean? So like I was getting the gameplay element out of it and
Yeah.
appreciating it for that. And the story that was there, I felt was entertaining. You know, maybe not necessarily as a Silent Hill game, but as like a horror thing. I just appreciated it for what it was. And it was nice to still get something that played like Silent Hill. And I would rather say that about Resident Evil than be where we're at. You know, I'd rather have it still play and feel like Resident Evil and just have a fucked up story than both. But, you know, it is what it is.
It is what it is, what it is. See, I know earlier you mentioned oh sorry, what the fuck is that?
No, you're kidding. Go ahead.
No, earlier you mentioned, and I don't recall like the exact words, but you mentioned that like we have a different, not expectation, but like when we're playing games with like series or whatever, like games are coming out, prequels or sequels are coming out, like we have different views and stuff. I feel like again, you're like really, really solid on the Resident Evil, and I'm like, the things that I've been getting sequels to that I'm really passionate about have been good. Like if I'm looking at the Tomb Raider reboot, Rise of the Tomb Raider was announced, I was like, huh, I played it, huh. Shadow comes out, whoa, like everything just it was meeting all the expectations, whereas it's going further and further away from what it usually originally was. So it's like I feel like we still kind of have the views, but I was just fortunate to have sequels. I want to say good sequels, to have sequels that like I enjoy. Like Forbidden West, it's different from the first, but it's still the same. And I've gotten exactly what you're expecting out of your game. Like you said, it's a pretty game. It looks nice. They've changed some stuff, but it's still like strong. And it's like I feel like that's maybe more like we still have the same expectations. I've been more fortunate in what I want.
Yeah, it seems like more like in more of like a general way, like if you're experiencing a new property or something, then you want more variation. Like if it's not something that you're like, oh, I fucking love this game, then you want it to kind of change next time you like if you play a sequel. But if it's Tomb
Change, but
Raider,
no, right?
like if it's Tomb Raider though, you want it to play like Tomb Raider. If they villaged it, you wouldn't have had a
Yeah,
good experience, you know, because
yeah,
like all three of those games look, play, and feel like Tomb Raider.
yeah. But
Like they
then
all
like
feel the same. The
they
only
feel the
thing,
same, but they changed a lot of other stuff,
right?
like
They
to
add
keep it
like
true.
I was saying, they
Yeah,
add mechanics. Like the
yeah, and
core
mechanics,
gameplay
and
is the same through all three of those.
yeah,
You're just upgrading it every time. Same thing with Horizon. You're taking like it they play exactly the same, but they're adding
they've
more
added you
shit
more
into
tools,
it to
more
make it
more
feel
options. Yeah,
a little bit different, to you know, to mix it up, but it still feels like that game. Like that's how
yeah.
you do it. That's how you're supposed to do it.
Yeah, and guaranteed if Tomb Raider, if they're like, oh, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, it's gonna be first person. Uh, Lara's gonna be in a city. She never goes to like a jungle or fucking tombs or anything like that. I would have been like,
Oh,
the
like Tomb
fuck
Raider
is
2 or 3. One of them was like all in fucking cities and shit, other than Angel of Darkness.
yeah, and then it's just like if they had done that, but it's like the trilogy of like young Lara, and then you're going from like this game, and then like it's the same thing to like a first person. Like they gave you Resident Evil, they went with Revelations, which I really obviously love. It still felt like that whole you're stuck somewhere and you have to get out and there's monsters and you're not sure what the fuck you're doing and you're like surviving that moment. Then they went to 6 where it had like zombies, it had not zombies, and it had fucking Black Hawk Down with Chris's campaign. And then they went from that, which they gave you kind of like a bit of everything they've done so far with the series, to fucking first person in a house the whole time. And I was like, yeah. So I knew like as soon as I saw that coming, and I was like, Sean's not gonna like this. And then the werewolves. So like, yeah, if they had done that shit to Tomb Raider, where they were like, hey, so now Lara is gonna be first person. The whole game's gonna happen in her mansion. There's fucking a basement, maybe. You can go outside and play in the tool
Maybe.
shed, and also, like, fuck. Well, I can't say dinosaurs because that happened in the game in the first game somehow. But like, yeah, like fucking werewolves show up. I would have been like, I don't want to play Tomb Raider anymore. Don't.
Yeah, it's like
So
if they took out the mythical part and that you were just shooting dudes.
yeah, just
You
like
know?
the fucking Yakuza comes to
Yeah.
Lara and tries to kill her. I would have been
And
like,
it was fixed cameras. Like
yeah.
that's not how that works. That's not what you that's not what you
Oh my
want.
god, I would fucking hate that.
Like it's just dumb. It doesn't make any sense to do that. And it's funny, I just thought about this, but like the you know the those collections that I bought not too long ago. It's like the Chronicles or whatever. I don't remember what they fucking called it. But those black cases, one of them was like Resident Evil uh 0, 1, 2 remake and 3 remake. And then there was like 4, 5, 6, and then 7.
You've shown that on the podcast, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I recall that
Like
because I remember I
that's
was like 1,
got
2, 3.
well two things with that. Like one, that totally just overthrows for the most part like traditional Resident Evil. Like other than 0 and 1 HD remaster, everything is like third person over the shoulder. So like you're kind of robbing new players of like the roots of Resident Evil from that. And then like what a weird polarizing experience that has to be for new people if they were to buy that box set or those box sets, because it's like if you buy those and you start at 1 and then you end at 7, like I wouldn't even know what Resident Evil is, because it's like the first two are fixed camera, and then all the ones in the middle are third person over the shoulder action, and then seven's first person. Like, what the fuck is
In a
this?
house.
Yeah, like, what is this series? Like, it's dumb. Like, what a fucking weird thing. Anyway,
What a weird thing we live in.
what a weird thing. Pinocchio,
What?
or rather, Lies of P gets 2 new trailers and possibly announced. I don't know. I don't know if it was announced.
Lies of P.
Lies of P.
Like,
It's
what are you doing there? I'm peeing. I lied. I'm taking a shit.
just kidding. I don't know if this was announced before Gamescom or not, but I figured I would just mention that there's 2 trailers there. They looked really good.
Sorry.
But yeah, there's a cinematic trailer and a gameplay trailer. The game is sort of a retelling, of Pinocchio in like a American McGee style setting. There's like twisted mechanical versions of the characters in like a dark, gritty world, which is really cool. The combat and aesthetic are like ripped off directly from Bloodborne. It looks super Bloodborne and
Lies of
Dark
P.
Soul and Dark Souls
So
style
lame.
gameplay. But what I kind of find most compelling about this is that it actually seems to be like cinematically story driven, which I know most of the Souls games are not. And the story there, like the story that it's telling, looks really interesting. And I loved American McGee's Alice. Like, I like that kind of unique, dark take on, traditionally Disney-esque characters. Like, I think that's a cool idea. So to see that kind of brought into Pinocchio with a Souls style gameplay mechanic that's also story driven, I think is like a really cool idea. One of the things that I don't like about the Souls games and like Bloodborne and all that, and possibly even what is that game? Uh, the new one that came out with the ring. Can't think of the name. Elden Ring.
I was like,
I don't.
what? The
That
ring
one might have story in it. I'm not sure. I haven't played it yet.
in it.
But for the most part, like Souls games don't have story, and that's been a turnoff for me because I like story driven things. I like narrative. The voice acting and diving into the characters and having an interesting story is important to me when I'm playing a game. So like that's a big
Yeah.
turnoff for me. But I like the gameplay. So the fact that this looks like it does have cinematics, an interesting story, lots of voice work, and it's a Souls game, like that's really cool. So I'm really interested to see kind of where this goes, and like you can kind of tell from that screenshot a little bit of like the artistic part of it, but like the characters are really, really detailed and just they look really interesting. So I'm hoping that it's good. I didn't recognize the developer. But I'll have to look into it. I don't know if they're a new team or if they've done something notable.
What's the name? Sorry, of the developer.
Yes. Oh, I don't know. I didn't write it down. I forgot to. But I just remembering glancing at it, I didn't. It's not something that triggered like, oh, they did this game. So I don't think I know any.
Neowiz. Now is.
Noes?
Neowiz.
Neos?
The fuck did they do? Sorry, I looked
Yeah.
it up because I was curious.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. They might be somebody new, which is concerning. But
They're a Steam publisher,
oh god.
so they're probably just no one.
Well, that's weird because I think this is coming out on consoles. I thought. Either way, it looks really cool. Typically Souls games are announced, and I'm like, okay, well, I kind of know what to expect, and I like that, and I'll get to it eventually. But this one, I actually like it stood out, and I'm kind of excited about it, so I want to check it out when it comes out.
They made a game. I haven't played it, but they made a game called Bless Unleashed that I think it's free to play or something, and I installed it on my PS4, but I haven't played it yet.
This developer did?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. Yeah. So yeah, that makes
So
sense.
I can check it out and see what their kind of game is like. I'm pretty sure it's on console, but yeah.
Don't lie to me.
Haven't heard of anything else. Skull,
Uh-oh.
Brave 9, Blade, Assault. It looks like all like kind of Monster Hunter wannabe games, but
That kind of makes sense. We'll see. Hopefully it's good. I mean, the important thing is like they showed both gameplay and
Yeah.
story, and both of them look great. So like even if this is their first endeavor in something like that, like it looks really promising, and they gave a pretty good impression as to what the game's going to be like. So it's worth checking out for sure. If you
it
like Souls
out.
games, which
So
I
what
don't think you
Souls
would.
game? Like Souls.
Like Dark Souls, Demon
Oh,
Souls,
I've never
Bloodborne,
played those.
really
The
punishingly difficult games that
Isn't
I
there
don't
one
think
that
you would
I played
enjoy.
that was similar to that? And you said like I'd be surprised you were playing that because like it doesn't seem like the kind of play. Was it Ghost of Tsushima?
Oh yeah,
Like
yeah, yeah.
yeah, that was like
That's
there's something I
considered
played that was similar to
that's
that.
considered a Souls-like game.
Yeah. The
So
game
yeah,
that stopped existing.
why did you stop playing that? Did you
I
not
just
like
like
it?
I just like stopped and switched to something else at the time. Like I had gotten something
Hmm.
else. I think it was Plague Tale, and then I just never went back
Uh,
to it. And like I didn't hate the game. I just like the game came out, it was such a huge thing, and then nothing. Like it just died. Like
yeah. So I don't know. I don't know if you'd be interested in it, but if you
in it.
wanted to check out like like a good Souls type game that has a story, it might be a good one to do. This is another new IP. They were announcing a lot of new IPs, which was really surprising and kind of nice, and a lot of them looked really good. So I was not expecting that. I was expecting a bunch of bland, generic sequel bullshit, and it's nice to see that they're actually trying. But the new title was just announced. The name's kind of weird. It's called Where Wind Meets.
Where Wind Meets.
Mm-hmm. Got weird titles. Lies
Yeah,
Lies of P, Where Wind Meets. They're
that's
running
pretty
out of
weird.
names, I think. But this is
Lies of
Lies of the PP.
lies of the PP, my P lies.
But this is a gorgeous, I mean, that's a screenshot, in-game screenshot right there. It's really fucking pretty. But it's gorgeous looking, massive. It's an open world game as well. Open world game focusing on
Cool.
freedom and choice. To emphasize this, the developer has said you can approach almost any situation from a multitude of ways. Say you want a sword that's like sitting there on a merchant's table. You can choose to steal it dramatically using magic from a distance. Like you can cast a
Elder Scrolls.
spell like from across the market and just kind of pull it off the table, and everyone's like, whoa, what the fuck is going on? And they attack you and you run away or whatever. You can use stealth, you can sneak in the shadows and pocket it quietly and nobody notices, or you can just go up there and buy it with money, things like that. Lots of
So it's like
variety.
Dungeons and Dragons, the video game.
Maybe. The
Yeah.
traversal system looks really cool. It looks a lot like Assassin's Creed on steroids. You can parkour, but the options for the freedom that you have are just like crazy. Like you can run through a market, and like all the people that are in the market, you can like just jump on top of them and like jump off of their head
Oh my
onto a
god.
building and shit like that. And if you get enough momentum, like you can run straight up a wall or like along a wall and stuff like that, surface of water and shit like that. Like it's really cool looking. And it looks like it flows really well. Like some of the problems with Assassin's Creed is like it's clunky. You're trying to climb up a building and it's slow, and it's like you're trying to
Yeah.
grab a brick and you can't, and you got to kind of feel
You're
around
trying
for
to go
where you're
this way, but the
going.
character's like, nope, going here.
Exactly, yeah. But this one looks super fluid, and you can just kind of smoothly travel over everything. It looks really cool. It's very satisfying looking. The game will have weather effects that affect your character and that can make you ill. So probably like you can freeze or get fatigued from the heat and stuff like that. And there's also a job system where you can like be a doctor, and being a doctor will allow you to heal your illness. So like if you're like suffering from frozen damage or whatever, you can heal yourself if you have the right job class, which is really cool. And you can also use that class to heal other player characters within the environment. You can heal like NPCs, which like might allow you to complete quests. Like maybe there's somebody hurt and you can heal them and you get an item from it or something like that. But there's different quests within the environment that only specific job classes can do, which is really cool. You can be an architect and you can like build buildings within the environment and stuff like that. You can be a bodyguard, and you can like take on contracts to protect other players within the environment. You can protect NPCs, and that probably also factors into like your stats and stuff like that. So it sounds really deep, and it's really interesting to see kind of where this game goes. And just the fact that it's got like all this depth to it and it's a massive open world game and it looks like that image that you're looking at right there, like that's fucking impressive. And they showed off a lot of the environmental stuff, like different day and night cycles and lighting effects. It's just fucking, it's gorgeous, really pretty.
Can you custom create your character?
I don't know. I feel like
That's the selling point right
yeah,
there.
I feel like that
Can I
character
have a bow?
that character that they show off in the trailer looks pretty specific. So I don't know, probably
Mm.
not. But I mean, maybe because it since there are other player characters within the world, I kind of hope that you could create a character.
So
It'd be
it's
kind of
like
weird if
online.
everybody's running around in the same
Everyone's the
character
same.
model. That'd be kind of dumb. So I don't know. Maybe you can. We'll have to see. But they just announced it. They had just the one trailer, so there wasn't a whole lot of information other than kind of what I just went over there. But definitely interesting. I'm another game I'm excited about. What the fuck is going on?
What? It's gonna suck.
It probably will.
That's usually what it is. They're coming out with this game. It's gonna be horrible.
I hope it's good.
The
You know what is gonna suck? This one.
fuck is that?
So it is a spiritual successor to two games, to Wild Arms and Shadow Hearts. But it was announced as a Kickstarter, which is concerning. You probably played neither of these games.
There's
They're
too many
both
things going on in this picture.
they're both RPGs. Yeah, I kind of split it in half. The left
So it's
side.
just like this kid has a gun. Also, there's a ghost, but this guy's wife is dying, maybe, and she looks half skeleton and also a robot.
Yeah, and also a robot. The
Penny
left
blood.
side is the Wild Arms spiritual successor, and the one on the right is the Shadow Hearts one.
Oh, okay. This isn't like the actual like
No,
game.
it's
Like,
two different.
okay,
It's
I was
two
like,
different games. Yeah,
is this kid avenging his skeleton dead mom? Like, what is
yeah.
from a ghost? Ghost dead.
That sounds amazing.
We'll
Wild
get
Bunch
right on it.
Wild Bunch Productions, which is made of former creators of both the Wild Arms and Shadow Hearts series, announced that they'll be launching a Kickstarter on August 29th for both Armed Fantasia to the End of the Wilderness and Penny Blood as a package deal. The funding goal will be $750,000 to fund both games. Both games will feature similar mechanics to their ancestral games, such as turn-based combat and turn interrupts for Wild Arms, and an interactive turn-based system and transforming into monsters from Shadow Hearts. The images released were like they're, as you can see in that screenshot there, they're pretty stylish. Like the art style looks kind of cool for both of them, but if you look at some of the other images, I don't know, the graphics kind of have like a cheapness to them. Like it kind of looks like a Kickstarter game, like a budget title kind of a thing, which is concerning. There's no way to know like whether the final game would look like that, and depending on how much money's funded into it, it might also impact the graphics. But and again, graphics aren't everything, but there's just a stigma for me. Like I funded a couple of Kickstarter games, and they just feel cheap, and I don't like that. Because
Cheap.
usually it's like they sell you on this premise of something great, you know, because they're trying to get you to give them to give you their money, right? They're trying to do that through a pitch,
Yeah.
basically. And the promise usually sounds a lot better than what you actually get. So seeing these screenshots kind of gives me that feeling like maybe it's not going to have a great story, or like the way that they tell that story is going to be kind of shoddy, and it's going to ruin the experience, which is really disappointing to me, especially for the Shadow Hearts spiritual successor, because I love those games and I'd love to see a new iteration of that in some form. But if it's just some like half-assed like Walmart version, great value Shadow Hearts, I'm just like I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that. Like if it's like better than nothing to have that, or if I'd just rather
Not
do it
have
without.
anything.
Yeah, I don't know.
Just
Like
keep the memory of the other two, and that's
I
it.
lose either way, because I want something more, but if I get something and I'm just disappointed, that's not going to be great. I don't know. We'll see. Hopefully they'll release a little bit more. Once they put up the Kickstarter on the 29th, I'll go to the page and kind of poke around and see what it looks like. see what they're promising. If it looks interesting enough, I don't know. Maybe I'll do it. You're like, I don't know what these games are. It's
I
fine.
understand.
I totally understand.
What?
And now we have a random one. Well, I guess that one was pretty random too, but this is another
Tough.
random one.
Now it's Pennywise. Penny blood, Pennywise.
Killer...
Okay, that's a dog like balloon. It looked like a guy just like about to like take a piss on the ground balloon.
That would be amazing. Kind of wish it was a guy. Killer Clowns from Outer Space gets a video game in 2022. Why? I don't.
What the fuck?
It's fucking
Is
random.
that from like the
as
80s?
shit. Yeah,
or
it's an
90s?
80s movie.
Jesus.
Yeah, like what a random ass thing. This is only happening because of things like Dead by Daylight and Friday the 13th like being super popular that this game could even exist. But it's such a fucking random, dark, like B movie.
Very
Yes.
obscure.
Yeah, like nobody probably knows what this fucking movie is.
This right there looks just like Dead by Daylight. Like
It
there's
does.
your new killer, there's your new players,
Yeah.
there's like a map specifically for it. Like why?
But yeah, it's a thing. I'm kind of interested in it. You know, I liked the movie. I like really like, you know, I like the weird, random, crazy shit, and that's definitely what that movie is.
You're
Fucking
telling me I
alien
have
clowns,
playlist at Christmas.
alien clowns invading and cocooning people up in cotton candy. It's amazing.
I definitely have to see this movie.
It's such a good movie. I mean, it's terrible. It's a horrible movie, but in a great, in all the good ways, you know. But yeah, I love it, and I'm gonna have to play the game because I love the property it's based on, so I want to give it a chance. Plus, I like Friday the 13th. I like Dead by Daylight, so I'll probably enjoy this.
You like Friday the 13th?
No.
Jason?
Jason? The game is being overseen by Randy Greenback, who produced the Friday the 13th game. As expected, Killer Clowns will be in the same vein as Friday the 13th as well. This time, however, it will be a 3 versus 7 dynamic, and the human players... 7. And the human players will be able to fight back against the horror movie antagonists. So much like having to kill Jason in Friday the 13th, the humans will have to jump through hoops to be able to kill the clowns. Basically, they'll be able to respawn. Like the human players can fight back with weapons and whatnot and kill the clowns, but they'll continue to respawn until you like do the Easter egg. You know, you got to go into their ship and do a bunch of shit, repair some generators or whatever. And then once you do all the things, then you're able to kill the clowns or whatever. It sounds like it's interesting enough and different enough to be cool. So I think it deserves a chance. But we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how it does. It looks pretty good. It's very colorful. And another new IP announced. Wanted Dead. It's called Wanted Dead. All these names are weird as fuck.
Wanted Dead.
Wanted Dead.
It's her fucking kneecap like a gun?
No. She's like holding him down with her knee and shooting him in the face.
Oh, I see the gun now. Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, the fuck?
But she does have like a robot arm and a fucking katana, which is great. This new third-person action game is being developed by some of the former Team Ninja developers who worked on Ninja Gaiden. The game has an 80s hybrid anime aesthetic with a potentially awesome soundtrack and is described as Bayonetta mixed with Yakuza and zombies. I mean, come on. This game was made for me.
Game was made for you.
It's weird how they're doing the anime thing though, because like the game looks like that screenshot, but I don't know if the entire story is told through anime cutscenes, but like throughout the trailer, there was just like random anime cutscenes. And I don't like when they do that. Like the separation just takes you out of it, you know, like it ruins the immersion because like you're like, oh, I'm watching an anime that looks completely different from the game I'm playing to tell me the same story. You know, it's just not really appealing. What was it? Mirror's Edge did that, and I fucking hated that. It's like pick one. I'm okay with either. You know, I don't mind an anime style game, but don't go back and forth. It just kills it for me. So hopefully maybe it's like the opening cinematic is like that, and then the rest is told through it, the in-game engine. But I have a feeling it's going to be all anime cutscenes. But whatever, that's fine. The rest of the game looks really cool. The main character is being voiced by Stephanie Justin, who previously voiced and modeled Quiet in Metal Gear Solid 5, which is really cool. Her character in Wanted Dead is a former chef who now does cooking YouTube videos on the side as she fights zombies as a police officer. It's amazing. This is the shit that I live for. Like, give me the dumb, crazy shit.
Could have been super crazy random, but then again, zombies.
I know there's always zombies,
But
but
like she's like everything. She's a YouTuber, she's a fucking cop, she's a chef. Oh, and zombies.
she's everything. What's weird is the trailer only showed her fighting these military dudes, but it says it's like zombies. So I don't know what's going on there. But this one's another like hyper violent game, kind of like Dead Island 2. Lots of decapitations and blood everywhere and whatnot. But yeah, going back to the main character, they they actually have live action YouTube videos of her fictional cooking show on YouTube, so you can like go watch the voice actress who plays the character like doing the cooking thing. It's fucking stupid, but it's cool. Like I love stupid silly shit like that. It's great.
When voice actors like do in character stuff.
Yeah, it's cool. And it like ties into the game's lore and stuff. I like that. It's cool. Trailer looks really good. It's got really like the stylish graphics there. Like it's and the combat too is like really stylish, like twirling around characters and like jump kicking them and like doing like a gun combo into a sword. Like I like when the combat's like really on the fly versatile like that, where you're not just like, oh, I'm using a sword and then I'm using a gun, you know, where you can kind of mix everything up, kind of like Devil May Cry, where you're just kind of all over the place using all these different kind of mechanics to fight groups of enemies. Like that's really fun. Like I've never really liked Dynasty Warriors because it's basically, oh, I'm fighting like 4,000 enemies with a sword, and that's kind of the game. Like it's nice to have diversity in the combat in the way that you can take down enemies. Like there's finishers, and you have a lot of different things all kind of interwoven within one like gameplay style. If that makes
Yeah.
sense. Ninja Gaiden was kind of like that too, where you could pull out all kinds of different things, like on the fly. But yeah, trailer looks really good. It's supposed to be really punishing, kind of like Souls games and like Ninja Gaiden before it. And I enjoy games like that. I like games with a challenge. So I'll probably really like this one. It's ticking all the boxes for me. You know, it's got my zombies, it's got the violence, it's got the stupid humor. It looks really cool. So check out the trailer on that one. And then we have an old property coming back, which also actually looks good. Alone in the Dark
Alone in the Drac.
coming back. The Drac. But yeah, it looks like they're actually doing it properly though. Unlike the last one. I have mixed feelings about the last time they tried to reboot it. A lot of people shit on it, but I had fun with it. It's a dumb game, but I enjoyed it. But this one looks like it's going to be a lot more higher quality and a lot more serious than that one was. Story in that last Alone in the Dark game was garbage. I will say that. The voice acting was terrible. But anyway, the latest iteration of the Alone in the Dark series will be a reimagining of the original game. The setting and characters will be the same, but the story and characters will be more fleshed out with a deeper narrative. Characters in the 1992 original who were only mentioned by name previously will also have full roles to play within the new telling of the story. The game offers two completely different playthroughs from the two protagonists, Edward Carnby and Emily Hartwood, much like Resident Evil offered with Leon and Claire. So it's kind of a similar dynamic where you'll have basically the same story with two characters going through it and having their own unique experiences, which is really cool. There will be a strong focus on survival horror, which is nice to hear, including limited ammo, encouraging you to avoid fights whenever possible. There will even be items that will allow you to fend off attackers and offer like a window of escape, kind of like Haunting Ground or Clock Tower, things like that. Kind of a blending of the two, which sounds really interesting. But yeah, graphics look great. Gameplay sounds like it's hitting all the right points for a survival horror game. So I definitely want to keep an eye on it. They didn't really show a whole lot. I think the entire trailer that they showed was all cinematic, so there's not really doesn't really give you a good idea of what to expect. But from the way that they're pitching it and the way that the game looks through that trailer, it definitely looks like it has potential to be a good survival horror game. How about that? How about that,
What?
fuckers?
What?
How dare you, Michael? Those games are going to be amazing, or I will murder you.
I tried to play. I think on the original Xbox, I had bought Alone in the Dark, like not the '90s one,
reboot?
I guess, but
Yeah.
yeah.
The one with the
Um,
fire mechanics.
I never got past the first part because I was just like there was an elevator I think you had to climb, and there was a fire extinguisher somewhere I think, and then I was like, the fuck is this game now? I just gave up and returned it to EB Games. I was like, I don't want this anymore.
Wow. I liked it. It was trying to do like different things, like original things, like the way that you could play with fire, and you had to put out the fire with the fire extinguisher and stuff. And
Couldn't
I
find
liked
it.
the idea that like your inventory was on your body. Like when you wanted to open up your inventory, like you would open up your jacket and like look down and see like what you have and shit like that. Like it was really cool. It did some interesting things that I thought was really cool. And at the time that it came out, it was kind of open world ish, like not really, but it was more open than your typical like survival horror game would be. So it was kind of cool to see that because there wasn't a whole lot else, out there in the market at the time. And you'd like drive a car sometimes and things like that. So it blended like different gameplay mechanics where survival horror games didn't typically do that before. It was, this gameplay and that's it. Like that was the whole game. So to see it kind of mix things up, do something fun with the inventory, have these fire manipulation mechanics, and just kind of do different things. Like I just enjoyed it for what it was trying to do, even though it didn't necessarily do them all great or have like a really good story or anything like that. I can appreciate games for the little things, like you can tell that there was like passion put in there and there was like good ideas that weren't terrible, that were fun to play around with, that maybe weren't executed as great as they could have been. But I don't know. I can enjoy the small things, especially if you buy it for, I mean, I don't think I bought it for full price. So there's that too. I might have been a little bit more upset with it if I had dropped $60 on it. But for like whatever I paid, $20 or whatever, I feel like it was a good time for that. So
When games used to be that low.
what do you mean? Yeah,
Like,
there's plenty of cheap used games still.
oh no, but I mean, like, do you remember back when like games were like brand new, $40?
No.
I do. Like games that are now like brand new, $80 or $90, like those back then would have been that much, or like $60. But like games that are now like $60, like were like 30 or $40. Like sometimes
They
games are cheaper.
they were 50. They've always been 50 for me. And then they went up to 60. And now they're going up to 70.
Somebody should just bring back like fucking Blockbuster style renting games. Like rent this game for a week, try it. If you don't like it and if it's complete garbage, you didn't waste your fucking money on it.
Right. I miss renting games too. It was nice.
Old Super Nintendo games.
Oh, Michael was talking about the last two Alone in the Dark games. I was talking about the 360 version. That's the one that I played. And again, yeah, it was buggy and it was broken and had a lot of problems, but I don't know. I enjoyed it. I never played that shitty mobile one though. I heard that's a fucking mess. Plus it's mobile. It's not a real game. Doesn't count. Do you earn gift cards playing it? I'll play it.
Wow.
I'll play it right now. Oh god, I have a problem. But hey, at least it's getting me shit. It's getting me somewhere.
It's getting you shit.
Got me a shitty PlayStation, so for better or worse. But yeah, that's the end of the news. That's all I had. I don't have any read your comments and no gams this week because it's just
Yeah,
the two of
we
us.
don't have Alec.
Kind of a weird little episode. I was gonna do some. I was gonna try a couple of different things because it was gonna be just me and Jazz, and then we got Carmen last minute, so everything was kind of a mess. And then news took me forever because there was so much to go through. Um, but I got a couple of ideas of things that I want to implement or try out on the podcast that we'll probably do maybe next time. We'll have to see like who's going to be on that episode and go from there. But yeah, we'll get back into the rhythm and do all the things and have a good time and
Into
blah
the
blah blah
rhythm.
blah.
Oh, I
Into
forgot
the
to
rhythm.
mention something else that I watched that I think everybody should watch. It's on Netflix. It's a documentary called Trainwreck, and it's about uh, fucking Woodstock in 1999, and it's just the scariest. Like, holy fuck, this happened. Like, apparently, like there was like they rioted, the people fucking wrecked it. They basically put like 200,000 people in one spot and like just like left them there, like never fucking gave them clean bathrooms, garbage bags, like nothing. And you should
Sounds
watch
like
it.
that. What was it? Fire Fest or Fire?
Fire Island. That no,
Yeah.
that's the thing that never happened though. Wasn't it? Like they
No,
had like a
no.
whole thing and then it actually like
Well,
basically never happened.
right, but they sent all the fucking people out there though.
Oh yeah, yeah. No, this
Yeah,
was like Woodstock 69 was like all about peace and love and like super obviously Woodstock. And then the same guy tried to do it again in 99 but got like fucking Kid Rock and like all these not peace bands and basically like under
it's all
budgeted
death
everything
metal.
and didn't give a shit about anybody. Yeah, like they had like all these fucking guys who were like revving up the audience to be pissed off when they were already pissed off at how they'd been treated. And
That's
like
not
water
good.
bottles were like $8, but like it was super fucking hot and they weren't giving people like the cost was going up and like the fans were literally being shat on and it ended in a huge fire. And it's like
Holy shit.
I watched it and I was like, holy shit, like this is why I don't want to go to concerts. People are fucking crazy.
Right?
Yeah.
Damn, that's crazy.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
you should watch that.
I think I almost watched that before. I think I know what you're talking about. I'll have to check it out.
You should watch it. It's not as funny as like the COVID ones that they did, like Death to 2020 and Death to 2021. Those are like really funny. This one was just fucked. Like to make me scared of things. Yeah.
Well, because this one's like a real documentary, right?
It's a real documentary. Like shit that you think people are like, oh, Woodstock, yeah, like peace, love, hippies, like people go do drugs, obviously, but like yeah, and then no, there was like rapes and fucking fires and
Damn.
yeah, it's crazy.
Michael said that the last good Alone in the Dark was the New Nightmare. Or, well, he said the Nightmare, but I think it's called New Nightmare. I think.
I don't even think like the one I played.
I
I'm
have
pretty
that
sure it
one.
wasn't on the 360. I thought it was like on the regular Xbox.
No. The
Oh,
one before that one was on PlayStation 1 and Dreamcast.
I don't know. I guess it just feels like it's been such a long time since I played any Xbox that
Yeah.
I keep forgetting fucking 360 is a thing.
Yeah, I need to play that one. I heard it's terrible, but I've always wanted to play it, and I do have it. Diz actually sent me that one a while ago. So at some point, I'll probably add that to my streaming catalog. I have so many games I want to stream. So many. They're
So
all
many, yes.
horror games and dumb, weird games. It's a good mixture.
Dumb weird games are the best to stream.
I know. It's
I'm
great.
always like, hey, you want to watch this really stupid game I have? Let's do it.
Oh, what? New Nightmare was on PS2? I don't believe you. I'm Googling that. I think you're wrong, sir.
PS2 on what? Yeah, New Nightmare.
No, it was on PS1. I don't think it was on. They're not going to release that on PS1 and PS2. That makes no sense. Okay.
We're gonna do some research and
It was.
get
What?
right back.
Oh, I bet you that didn't come out in the US. That would explain why I've never seen it.
Uh-huh.
That's crazy. I had no idea that came out. Interesting. Well, god damn it. I want the PS2 version. What the fuck, Diz?
I gotta start playing my PS2
Send me the
more.
shitty PS1 version. How dare you? That's crazy.
Wow.
I kid.
I just
I
picture
joke.
Diz like having this on with headphones at work, and she's just like, "What?
No, I joke.
No, you don't. No.
Yeah.
Okay."
I joke. Okay, yeah. Alrighty, guys. Thanks for joining us. This has been episode 170. I wanted to do something more elaborate for episode 170, but it's been too crazy. So we'll have to
170.
plan something real good for episode 200. But either way, thanks for joining us, everybody. If you enjoy the podcast or any of the content at the Ward, please consider helping us grow by sharing our content, liking the video, and subscribing. You can also support us through patreon.com/thewardproductions to get exclusive content, or you can buy merchandise like t-shirts, hats, and more on our website, the-ward.com/shop. Thanks again, everybody. Have a great week, and we will see you next week. So prepare your body. Make sure you're ready.
For many
Bye-bye.
things.
For all the things. Bye.
Bye.